teams. Who can blame the timidness of these players? But gotta be more confident. You gotta have that professional mindset Edgar's been saying that they're looking for here.
And Sejuani Kalista going to be the first bans here as we dive into the pick and ban for game number 1. A lot of desperation, but let's see what is actually going to happen here, because a lot could have developed for both of these teams over the first couple of weeks, and maybe an ironing out of their view of the meta could help find some better League of Legends. Because not even, like, I don't even want to look at this series for, like, who's going to get the first win. I'm more looking at it for who has figured out how they're supposed to play League of Legends on this patch. Like, that's what I want to figure out, because KT looked utterly lost in their last match, and Bro has looked lost, you know, for a while. And
there were some puzzling decisions, and we'll talk maybe a little bit more about those types of moments in the game, but there were some puzzling decisions made by KT. The Skarner feels like a freebie here with the Rumble banned already. So looks like that's going to be the direction they go for. Now, only Bro would insta-lock Renekton Nidalee here in response, and I'm not saying they will, but I'm saying there's a chance, Atlas, because Morgan has really been leaning into his identity on the Croc in the top lane, one of his most iconic picks. The Leona priority here, very high.
Azir is a weird one. Of course, picking it away from BDD, we've seen it popping up here and there a little bit more. And so Karis, of course, has been a big fan of the Azir just in general. But I don't know.
Talia Vi is open.
Yeah.
Talia Vi is open, and they pick the Azir.
Talia Vi Skarner sounds like a top side of the map, Wolf.
It really does. And Breon just walked right into this one. Let's see what Envy is going to be piloting here. You imagine they lock up the bottom duo right here, right now. You don't need to lock a jungle pick at this stage, especially because it's not going to be a somewhat thinned out AP jungle pool, even though it's widening at this moment in time in the meta, because you already locked in the Azir.
Yep, don't need to worry about it.
I think, okay, well,
I mean, this is a very young J champion and a very Bro champion, right? Like, it feels like, you know, the ghost of Umpty is haunting the room, even though he is on the other side of the planet at this point in time. You know, like, the Xin Zhao really has been, like, a mainstay for this organization. Young Jade also really liked playing it, so I think it makes a lot of sense.
One of Umpty's most iconic pauses on the champion.
Oh, no!
If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
I was reminded of that relatively recently, actually. Oh, my goodness. There have been some, like, great pauses in LCK history. That was one of them. The crazy skin issue is probably still the best, thanks to Spo TV and their incredible subtitles for any sort of pause that came onto the screen.
So you're playing into Leona here as KT Rolster. You want to take away some of the fun and safe, you know, matchups where Morgan's not going to have a rough time into the Skarner, and he can be a frontline for whatever AD carry they ultimately end up picking here. I think the Zeri deserves a look. There's already a Vi here for KT Rolster, so it's a little bit tougher to pilot this with the Leona on the side of Bro. It's not impossible, but it certainly feels like a pick that's much more high value for KT at the moment. Now, when you consider the Vi, the Talia, the Skarner, Impale, the Rakan does sound like a very threatening champion here, but Deft's Ezreal also looming here will be able to keep a safe distance away from the champs that KT have already. You could see something like a Twisted Fate ban here if you think Morgan would want to maybe try to punish the Skarner with a ranged matchup. That's what they're going for. They're just going to take the Croc.
I like that one. I think that's a little bit more Morgan specific, and I think that feels pretty good. As
Ash through this draft. Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of nutty. And then they show that it's through the draft, and then, oh no, don't pick this. That would be completely out of control. Is Ezreal going to be the option? So just realizing that there are basically a million picks up and available.
I think, to me, Atlas, this Ezreal pick is decent, but
oh
no.
Yes! All right, we're back, boys and girls. I mean, we're not, but like we could be.
He's getting excited early.
No, I'm not. You said it, not me, okay? No. Deft's Caitlyn is something that's pretty near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
I think that he has been a phenomenal Caitlyn player throughout his career. Doesn't play it nearly enough, and so I'm happy to see it here.
Well, the problem with this Ezreal pick is it feels to me like it was a pick away because it's so powerful here for KT as the Mordekaiser going to rear its head again here. Into the
Morgan. It's Morgan. The Morgan Kaiser?
Yeah, but because you picked this Ezreal with both the Varus and the Caitlyn available, I felt like there was always going to be a pretty hard punished response here. It's Barrel's Braum, which we've seen quite a bit in the past, to pretty high success at the heights of his career, especially when you look back to the Damwon days. But Caitlyn, Braum in this lane can absolutely hard push it in. You get Prio there. You have huge kill pressure in mid with the Taliyah Vi. In top side, at least you can neutralize this Skarner to a certain extent. You could also try to pull the Vi off of objectives, as we saw with Keen yesterday, where you can secure smites. You can also, when Vi tries to ult in, look for an engage, just isolate her and kill her very quickly. That's the game plan. That's the idea. You can also keep Skarner at bay. You can't actually E through that wall. That's a bit of a tougher wall to go through, so you can make sure the Skarner can't set up for an Impale. Then you can go for a hard engage with the Leona. There are angles here for Bro, for sure, but I think the early game is what I'm most concerned about, Atlas, especially in that bottom lane.
I would agree. I think that, you know, Braum isn't necessarily Lux, right? So you're not going to quite have that level of shove, but I think it does add that level of security. And if you hit a Winter's Bite, Caitlyn is generally in range. That's just kind of how that works. She shoots from a really far way away. So I think there is a lot for Bro to sort of keep their eyes out for, but if they ever get into a team fight, man, that composition is looking gorgeous. Let's see if they can make it work. So we jump into the Rift for game 1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are onto the Rift already. The Bros in the bottom tri-brush, looking for an opportunity. Deft, will he walk out? Will he pay a visit to Envy? The Peacemaker, not going to connect. As this is like, kind of, it's like a lore matchup almost, isn't it? No, it's Ezreal. Never mind.
He did hover the Ashe, yeah.
He almost played Zeri, and I was thinking that that could have been a thing. Had Arcane on the brain, but Envy's in a brush. He's hiding, and he's just frosted Ezreal.
Oh, I thought you were thinking about
get
the Ashe Braum angle.
Yeah,
which also could have been a lore thing. But
yeah, that's pretty Freljordian.
Unfortunately, we don't get either.
Yeah. I still do want to get to the Mordekaiser lore, but it's got a lot of really difficult to pronounce words in it. And so I'm really scared to read it out, you know, like straight out the gate.
Yeah,
it's a toughie.
It's tough.
Because he speaks a language which is hard to pronounce, that's then like, and he has a name that's hard to pronounce.
Do you know about when he learned to play the guitar, though?
Like, I think that is tangential lore to the pentakill version of Mordekaiser that kind of forgave everyone and didn't want to do world domination anymore.
Okay, that's fair. Because for me, that was always the most interesting part of Mordekaiser. Is he's got that kind of really demonic look to him, but he also looks like he could be in a cool death metal band as well. And
I mean, he literally is.
Yeah,
right? He's right there playing. I think it's lead guitar for pentakill. And then you've got Sonar on keys, right? And I'm sure there's Olaf there as well. Karthus is on vocals. And then there's a bunch of others. I can't remember all of them, but at least those guys.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, this lane has been going better than a lot of Ezreal lanes into Caitlyn would normally go. And then a lot of other, Caitlyn kill lanes like the Lux one you mentioned normally dominate a little bit harder, but Paulo and Envy holding their own so far.
And so far here on the top side of the map, Morgan doing that pushing in thing that the Mordekaiser does love to do. Perfect just trying to do what he can to hold on. So mid lane, BDD having a lot of success thus far, and his Taliyah has always been something that we've talked up. Has had, obviously this is KT in summer of 2024, and it is not a great time. But we know what this guy's capable of, and I think that he's got enough tape being good at Taliyah for us to be able to at least still stand by the remark, right?
In the summer season of 2023, he was a master of both sides of this matchup, and that was when, arguably, in recent years, you could talk about his Gen G performance, obviously in 2021, but in recent years, it has been the best version of BDD. It was when we saw him on both sides of this matchup and playing the Taliyah into the Azir happily and vice versa, but he's getting a small incremental advantage here. Has had a weak laning phase thus far this season, but again, tough opposition.
Yep.
If he can get done with the Vi, that's rarely left open, but Yoshik has the opportunity as, oh boy, already.
Yeah, nice shove. Going to connect onto Karras. He's going to try and walk his way out. Does shift the sands, but otherwise it's not feeling too great. And I do want to say sorry to Yorick. I checked Twitch chat and they were reminding me that Yorick has a pentakill skin as well. So that is very rude of me. I was a big fan of Yorick throughout.
Really?
Old Yorick and new. Yeah, he's the bass player. And you always forget the bass player, don't you?
Oh, I mean, you mean like a fan of him in Pentakill, not the champion, right?
No, I'm a huge fan. Like, do you remember WMAX AP Yorick back in the day? It was amazing. You had actually one button.
I like you. I know you like to put things on the ground and have them do things, so I'm not surprised by this, but
yeah, there we go. It's like playing Zyra, except they run around.
You're like one of 7 known Yorick enjoyers in the world. Is Karis?
Yeah, BDD is going to take a little bit of damage, but otherwise it's going to be fine. Perfect fighting Morgan and wondering how he's trading back when he's stunned against the wall, and that's because he has a big old circle around him.
I'm sure chat is probably freaking out, being like, I enjoy Yorick. No, you don't, actually.
Yes.
You're just saying that. You're just a Twitch troll.
All right, well, Envy is going to tank a couple of autos. Probably walking back in there as Deft just not quite able to get in range to fire out any autos himself.
Envy knows exactly when Brahm's arm gets tired of holding that up. That was perfectly timed.
Love to see it. Polo also going to make his way in, but does get the trap down. Ooh, not quite. Actually timing that just a little bit too late in order to lock Polo up there, but does still have a couple of snap traps in this brush. So Deft is going to retain some control. The wave actually pushing in towards KT down here. And they're expecting to have a pretty decent advantage, right? Like, that's what you're expecting in a Braum Caitlyn lane. So I think if KT are like 10, 15 CS up, you're like, it's a, decent job here in this lane.
Unfortunately, we're not quite there yet, but the lane is pushing away from Bro, but with the back here of Barrel, not really anything can be done about this. Pyoshik is on the bottom side of the map, but won't be able to make anything happen down here at level 5. Youngjae also heading towards the bottom side of the map, as I feel like Palu has done a great job of neutralizing some of Barrel's aggressive advances, where he's trying to really get some aggressive trading done, but Palu has just kind of answered incredibly well with his Aftershock and Eclipses. Barrel back in lane now. And again, small CS advantage here, and it is growing slowly over time, as you're alluding to.
Should be that KT can get a bit of extra control, and with the fact that that first back does come in for Barrel, and Deft was able to hold on to the lane, not only does he now have a little bit of an experience lead, it is Barrel now with a cool little red rock.
Yeah, that
really
Ruby Crystal plus the refillable is really nice.
Oh, Envy possibly... No. Youngjae going to be starting off this dragon, and of course they know that the grubs were going down.
Perfect is doing top side, yeah.
Yeah, Weaver's Wall's also going to come in as Pyoshik going to come on over. Actually looked like he kind of walked through the wall there, but it didn't start until a little bit afterwards. And Pyoshik just let Perfect take that one down. The flash forward does come in, and oh no, the stun onto Karis as he tries to get the shuffle. Still going to land it though, as First Blood does land onto Pyoshik, but it's a trade of junglers pretty immediately. Envy free hitting, however. Seismic shove, flash does come out, and Karis will be taken down here by Deft, wanting to now pick up his opposite number as he nets over the wall, and Envy getting towards his turret, I don't think is going to be going down here. So, works out for KT in the end, although they do lose out on the First Blood.
Yeah, not getting the First Blood, but definitely a huge win for them. The Dragon does reset ultimately. BDD heads back to lane, shoves that one in, so we'll deny Karis a little bit of farm here as Karis was teleportless. Looked like he, for a moment, thought maybe we could chase Envy, but he's got Cleanse, he's not going to care about any of this stuff that they can throw at him, and no mana for BDD anyway, so he's just going to push that in and back. Karis will get a majority of the farm, but you pointed out the lack of Emperor's Divide in this fight as Karis is interrupted. Great Weaver's Wall to start things off. Now, Pyoshik is here because they're trying to get both objectives because they have enough control of the top side. Like, remember, Perfect is doing grub, so Bro are on a timer here, and then look at this. Barrel sets it up, and then boom! Karis cannot slide through those rocks.
The rock timing from BDD was fantastic because in that moment I was like, why did Karis decide to shuffle over the rocks? It's because they weren't down. It was a reactionary layer of rock carpet.
And the arc, the concave that was set up for KT there made it so that that was really the only angle for Karis to look for. And BDD already knew it. He's like, he goes here or he walks away.
Yeah, it's like, I taught him this, you know?
Exactly. and if they just sit back and wait too, and Karis doesn't do anything because he's waiting for the rocks to come out first, then KT win out on the Drake fight, win out on that longer fight in general. So they had to make a play, but BDD's reaction was perfect, predicted exactly the angle Karis would want to take. He does eventually Emperor's Divide, but it's not any value. And yes, First Blood goes over, but KT with 700 gold lead now, and back in the driver's seat in this bottom lane as well.
Yep, nicely done. Ace in the hole from Deft. Just waits until the Leona is in there to tank it with the Eclipse. Make sure that he can get some poke that's going to stick onto Envy.
Now,
Do you like
critically, Pyoshik did not ult either in that last fight, still has that, so this Ezreal, not as safe as he would otherwise normally be in a post-Drake take situation because he's got so much range, he has his Arcane Shift.
Oh, Beryl does find a Winter's Bite, as that is a Hex Flash forward from Polo, just fishing. As Perfect will be able to take the last grub. A little bit delayed, one could say, but is still going to be able to lock that one down. So there it is. KT now with 3 for 3 of the first ones. See whether they can get up to that 6 to allow them to push down these turrets. Of course, Caitlyn, very good at that.
Yeah, if Def gets some extra time with this turret, is going to be, and any turret for that matter, even in the mid lane later on when he heads there, very frustrating to deal with for Bro. The Dragon still hasn't been started up here, but KT now have enough prio, enough control. They're going to take this one. BDD has his Weaver's Wall up again, and looks like we're going for part 2, but this time KT a lot more control over the pit.
Yeah, they're the ones that have all of that set up. I believe that it was Bro that had leashed it prior. So Pyoshik the one tanking, so maybe health bars could be helping out here for Bro, but they're going to look to try and possibly contest. They'll be too late to actually lock down the Dragon, but can they find the fight is the question. Great Vault Breaker from Pyoshik, as in goes Karis once again, but once again he's stunned and flung around. The Empress Divide does absolutely nothing. Still it's a 1-for-1, make that a 1-for-2, and Bro is still able to make the best of it.
Yeah, they are able to trade back a lot of gold here, but KT winning both objectives now, grabbing that Ocean Dragon. It's Chemtech this time around second.
Oh, no soul.
You know, he had a good lunch, now he's paying attention, but I do look at this situation as a huge win for KT, especially when you consider how calculated the setup was. It makes you trust this team and knows what they're doing with this draft, because when you watch the way Youngjae tries to go in on this, the angle for BDD once again is so good, because Wind becomes Lightning, it's Pyoshik, but he can't follow up because of these rocks, and still Karis thinks he has the angle here, ends up getting stunned. The Emperor's Divide, though, just on the tip here, going to add some extra value, and Beryl and Pyoshik are just way too far forward when the damage comes through. Still a good angle there from Youngjae despite the rock placement, as he may lose his crab. No?
Not going to lose the crab, as Beryl and Pyoshik just kind of whiffed it there a little bit. BDD there to save the whole situation, as Youngjae trying to keep himself alive, doesn't have the ulti available. And the Weaver's Wall, it's going to come on through. Youngjae should be going down as the Seismic Shove is going to connect. Morgan finds the E. Death Realm is in there as Pyoshik able to get himself to the edge of it, but will be taken down as now Morgan stealing some stats away, looking to escape the whole situation. As Perfect just wanders up to him. Okay, going to push him against the wall there as the re-engage is coming through. The wall is kind of decent, but BDD is just going to get wiped out. Perfect still basically full health, but there's just nothing he can do to stop them from killing the rest of his teammates.
I mean, he's just a Kanik Rookered Sconner with no mana. There's nothing he could do, even if he's at full health. The positional problems there for KT. When a Skarner is full health at the end of the fight and everyone else is dead, it means that you probably weren't in a good place to take that fight, as once again, we're just seeing some more pro-activity here, Atlas, from the side of Rion, as Youngjae initially looks like maybe he's caught, but they turn it onto Beryl, and this shove puts Youngjae forward here, can tank up so much with the Crescent Guard coming through. Then Karis layers the damage. Morgan shows up to the fight, and unfortunately, Perfect's Impale here, really low value, only hitting a single target. And Karis, he's just free hitting this entire time on the edge. And then KT decide they're going to continue to force the issue here. Very disjointed fight here for KT. Bro, look at this. This angle here for Palu, just enough mana to set up the combo. Fantastically played.
The Solar Flare just perfectly done from Polo. I believe just got it back off cooldown, otherwise would have used it at the beginning of the fight, but really nicely done. And now Leandri's is completed for Morgan. He is working towards his Mordekaiser license. There aren't many that have a Mordekaiser license. We've mentioned this before. I mean, Keen has a few champions that only he's really allowed to play. Dundun sort of failed on the Udyr front, but Morgan trying his hand at the Mord, and it is looking pretty good so far.
You know, my feeling about how this series could potentially go is KT's position in this game is still not too bad. You know, you've got a Talia that's got 2 kills, tons of assist gold. You have Caitlyn that's 2-0-2. Very strong position if they can continue to figure out better team fights moving forward, because right now it's been very scrappy. My concern is that they're... Okay.
Yep, Door going to eat the True Shot Barrage, so not going to be able to use that one. Is now Perfect looks for Karis. Empress Divide comes through, but there's the Seismic Shove. Ace in the hole coming down just to help out, and there is the Impale. Perfect's going to find that one. Grub's going over to KT as well, and they are moving the needle back in their direction.
Definitely a, you know, that passage of play was a commentary on the amount of CC in this game right now.
Yeah.
Cars just like, I remember Survive, but I guess it's, I don't know. There's just too many things flying at me here. I just can't play the game. But at least the Emperor's Divide timing was good. But going back to the point before is if KT cannot really fight in a concise way where they're setting up objectives on their own terms, where they're actually the ones dictating the pace, they're fighting with the scrappy Bro. That's where Bro live, man. They live at the bottom of the standings. They live in the scrappy fights. So you've got to be really respectful. Now, I really like this setup here. BDD and Karas collapse on, or sorry, BDD and Perfect collapse on the Karas. He gets ace in the hold. No real space here to move with the rock placement again from BDD. And the Impale helps finish him off. So great play there. BDD on point today with his Talia. Feels like a flashback to 2023.
Yeah, that's true. Did get caught out just a little bit in the previous fight, but making up for it, we know what he's capable of. So hopefully he can keep it up. And KT, we've seen both sides, you know, of what they can be. They can find a lot of the snap decisions, or they can go a little bit too deep. Bro can take advantage of it. Whether that is something we're going to see again, but with 6 Grubs and a Caitlyn, I think KT are in a pretty good game state right now for what they want to achieve moving forward. Just wanting to try and take down some structures and get things done. As BDD down here on the bottom side looking for first turret blood, and there is an Azir on the way with a Leona in tow, but I don't think they're going to get here in time as Pioshik will walk into the wall there and was kind of bathing in the waterfall, but I think that was a visual bug.
Yeah. Well, I mean, KT get everything out of this. They had Weaver's Wall coming back up, so I think Rion were a little bit nervous about actually moving towards that pit and getting cut into pieces. So BD gets the free push, gets the free turret completely uncontested, and they get the dragon just the same. It's Mountain Soul, and for a Skarner, you feel pretty good about the stats you're going to get from that one if we do end up getting there for KT with a 2-dragon lead.
Not to mention the fact that there are a lot of uses for your E.
That's
you can now walk through more stuff.
Yeah.
And that feels good. That's a happy lawnmower up there towards the top side. Is Young Jay looking to try and make him a less happy lawnmower as the E does manage to pull him back. Perfect just in the Death Realm right now. Not able to actually stun against the edge of the Death Realm, as you can see, as Weaver's Wall comes on down. Seismic shove. That is a shove into the Impale. Flash comes through, but no, get over here, buddy. As the Death Grip comes on through, they do manage to take down the Scorpion, and KT, they turn up a little bit too late to save their Scorpion and won't be able to start off a fight they want.
Yeah, Bro really set up for that play. Top side, they were there faster. KT just couldn't get in there, even with Weaver's Wall available there for BDD. And it looked like perhaps Perfect was trying to calculate, okay, while I'm in Mordekaiser's ult, I can actually then buy enough time, then push Morgan in, rotational come through, and then we can actually get there in time to match Bro's rotation, but miscalculated even with a really nice Impale there into the rocks.
Wow, and I just realized that I used, you know, the Scorpion's own line against him.
Yeah.
You know, the get over here, the very famous Scorpion line from Mortal Kombat. Oh, so sad. I remember I set that up for my Death Knight. Just every time I used Death Grip, it would say, "Get over here," you know, like in his voice from Mortal Kombat.
That's so
I digress. It was a great add-on. Anyway, the Rift Herald going to come into the mid lane and look for a bit of a charge. Young Jay going to pilot that one. Does go around the corner and gets immediately slammed into the wall. Some of the dangers of being up against this Skarner. Still, Wind becomes lightning, comes on through. He's going down so incredibly low. There's the ulti from Beryl, but he flashes, gets barely to the end. The Vault Breaker doesn't connect. Oh, Pioshik just not quite long enough on that one.
Oh, 2 flashes.
And he had the ulti, but he just doesn't invest it. Knew that he'd be trading, and that's not really what they want.
Yeah, 2 flashes for 1. Young Jay gets out, and oh, hold up, we're not done yet. Palu is Leona though, so probably don't do it.
Yeah, suboptimal target.
Yeah, I think that it's really interesting to watch this play happen because on one hand, it's extremely risky to go for the Herald charge. Karas will sidestep that. Risky to go for the Herald charge with the Skarner there, and the observers knew like 5 seconds ahead of time this is exactly the play that Perfect's going to make out of the Herald. They zoomed in as Perfect went in for it, but Xin Zhao is just so tanky, so difficult to lock him down and blow him up because of his Crescent's Guard. He has Flash, and then they just don't have the damage. Beryl flashes for the ultimate there, but it's just not enough. It's crazy how Braum's ultimate is basically just Kasante's Q3. Like, when he went in, I was like, wait, there's a Kasante in this game? Like, my first reaction was like, wait, there's a Kasante? Like, oh, my, oh no, it's Beryl trying to make a play, but it's not.
That really does put into perspective Kasante's kit. That is absolutely absurd.
I legit had to do a double take with Barrel Flash for it. I was like, wait. Oh no, it's just Barrel. He's going.
It does have a longer range, right?
Yeah.
But still, the fact that it is so similar and also moves them back towards you as well, which I imagine Braum wouldn't mind. Still, not quite able to get the play that they were looking for. 2,000 gold is still their lead, approximately, though. As Bro still looking for a little bit more. Moving up here to clear out this vision as Beryl not able to get towards BDD and Pyoshik right now. Weave as well to get BDD out of there. Pyoshik lies in wait. He remains in the fog of war.
Yeah,
the darkness is okay. Arise, and now it's Pyoshik's turn to try and get out. Slowed down. Seismic shove to remove Polu. Emperor's Divide gonna throw Pyoshik back, and he's just dead. Nothing they could do. Bamboozled until they weren't. And then they say thank you for the free kill onto the Vine.
That reminds me of some vintage, Damwon Malrong right there, where you're just waiting, and then as they walk away, you're like, well, okay, surely they don't know I'm here. I hope they're not here, and I'll make the play. They were there, and the play backfires. Pyoshik's now 0-4-4 in this game. Bro will be able to take this topside Baron here at 20 because the rest of there's no jungler. KT are not in position. They don't have a ton of damage, but they have enough as KT are going to go for the contest.
Yeah, teleport is going to come on in. That's going to bring Perfect through, so he doesn't care about the walls. Let's see who he can hoover up as the seismic shot brings Young Jay back. He secures the Baron, and now it's a 5v4. Still they're losing a whole bunch of their health bars. Caitlyn raining down the damage. The Impale, fantastic, as it brings Morgan in, and he's executed by BDD. Still, Envy making his way out alongside two members of Bro that still have that Baron, and I don't think Perfect's going to be able to stop them, although Envy does cancel the back. We'll take a boulder to the noggin, but otherwise he's all right.
He'll be okay here. Should be the turret going down. KT, True Shot Barrage is not going to clear this one out, but Baron power play not going to be ideal here, and it is also going to be KT getting this bottom side dragon, so going to be sole point for them off the play. I think this really does favor KT at the end of the day, but I do respect the idea here for Bro, especially because Morgan feels confident that with his ultimate, he could just pull out the Skarner, prevent the Impale play from going through, and then they could secure the objective. Unfortunately, KT just have too many members coming through here. So you see the ult coming through from Morgan on the other side. Barrel, though, gets on top of Youngjae here. Morgan gets extremely low.
Yeah, I mean, he was just fighting Perfect in the Death Realm and not winning.
Yeah, he was losing it, and that's a huge part of this. There's no front line anymore. They have to retreat, or they're going to get bowled over, so they end up losing two. And what can they do with this Baron? We'll find out, but I don't imagine it's going to be all too successful. You can see BD is just free pushing bottom side, has teleport. Now just trying to set a trap, but wasting Baron time in doing so.
Yeah, Perfect also on a ward right now, so isn't exactly going to be surprising anyone, as they do spot out this control ward now finally. Morgan trying to deal with BDD, who is being very frustrating.
When you look at the items too for Perfect, he has Jack shows and the Rookern is Perfect. Speaking of,
yeah, looking for a bit of an opportunity there as Polu just walks into his open arms. Envy trying to get out, but he just immediately gets impaled. Youngjae in trouble as well. Crescent Guard comes in, but it's ignored entirely. Pyoshik taking a lot of damage, but Polu getting in there. Pyoshik gets out. The Mordekaiser's flung around, and it's a double kill for Deft. Just an auto, and he could have grabbed a triple, but he wants to give that kill to Young Perfect in the top lane. And KT, unfortunately, there's no Baron to go for, but they'll look to push some turrets.
Yeah, what a wild game this is.
This is actually kind of crazy.
It's a little bit scrappy, it's a little bit nonsensical at times, but it's at least a lot of kills and a lot of action. As Perfect is on this flank, so it's really awkward for Bro, and they ultimately decide...
I didn't know that's how it interacted, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, Zenith Blade goes through, and Perfect's like, pause for a second, okay, and then just keeps going. I like it.
And Perfect is able to get the Impale onto Envy. I think if he doesn't get that, this is definitely a more playable team fight here for the side of Bro. And your options were so limited as OK Savings rank Breon, because you either just try to get out and cut your losses, probably lose some members there because of the flank there from Perfect, or you engage onto him and hope for the best, but Perfect handled it so incredibly well. And he's just so tanky. Even if Mordekaiser pulls him in with Leandries and the Rylai's, he's got the Jackshow stats stacking up.
Yeah, Jackshow's Rookern feels like kind of okay when you're in that death room, right?
And you get the percent damage, coming out from health against Morgan, and Skarner just wins those, apparently. It doesn't seem like it makes sense, but actually with the build he has, it's just kind of crazy when they beat up against each other in that Mordekaiser ult. So the chances of the comeback are pretty slim. Is Barrel?
Baiting. That was so weird. I was expecting the pause to come in. but it doesn't.
Yeah, he paused his movement, Atlas.
He did definitely do that. He did pause his movement. God, that was so strange. Okay, never mind. Well, he's not going to die or anything like that. Is now getting his health back with the Warmogs. So
he calculated.
I mean, yeah, like you don't have to calculate anything because Warmogs just like means that if you walk away from them for a bit, you'll be K.
His whole game plan here is, look, I'm going to set perfect up.
Yeah, it's like he just took a moment to do his taxes or something. Like, I don't know what was going on there.
Mom, stop texting me. I'm playing the LCK right now. We're 0-4.
Yeah, I'll put it in the microwave later. Just leave me alone. Yeah, something like that. I've never said that. I would always prioritize dinner over another game of solo queue.
Well, it's Korea, so she'd probably be like, did you eat?
True.
He's like, Mom, I ate before I went to LCK.
Yeah.
We're going out with the boys. We're getting our first win tonight. Come on.
Bring some kimbap with you. Okay.
Well, it's not looking great for the bros. There have been some good moments here in this game, but the Mordekaiser has really just not worked out, you know, in terms of what it's attempting to do in this draft. Like, didn't control lane, hasn't really controlled objectives that much. They lost the fight on Baron, which ultimately meant the Baron amounted to nothing, although it was a similar play to what Keen tried. Didn't work out, this time denying to Skarner, but...
And now it's like a minute away from Mountain Soul, and this Skarner is going to be absolutely gigantic.
Yes.
Pioshik also having a couple of items almost built up when he does have GA. I mean, he will be deceptively tanky as well. And Deft will be, like, he's already got 3 items on this Caitlyn. With that extra shielding, with the extra safety, it's going to take a lot to take him down. It's a dangerous time. Beryl also probably the biggest benefactor of a Mountain Soul in this game.
And the Mordekaiser Leandries always feels great when you're playing against a tanky top laner. You're like, oh, I'm going to get so much damage in this game. But when you're playing against a fed Caitlyn and a fed Talia, you're not going to be hurting anybody, actually. You're not going to be anywhere near them. You're going to maybe interact with this Rooker and Jackshow's Skarner. He wins those, actually. So Morgan is kind of just a grab button. He's like, I'm trying to grab him and pull him out, and that's all he can really do in these fights. It's really Karis and Envy who have to be the heroes here. If Palu could find a stray pick, that'd be nice, but there's no one you want to pick right now.
Oh, Deft does have a trap set up. Oh, my goodness. KT, they knew that was coming, and Deft was looking tasty. They take down Palu. Beryl puts up the door to say no to the damage, and now BDD looks for the backline. Envy gonna get thrown into the rocks and destroyed. Although it does take a little while to go down. Finally, that last boulder to his head is gonna come on through. They take down Deft, however, and now Beryl has to use that flash to get back towards BDD, and it's BDD that has to be the carry, that has to be the hero. Young Jay, he gets out the Zhonya's that was beautifully timed, but Morgan is gigantic, the Noxian boss. Gonna now try and take down KT, and they do not want to fight them, not with some DPS left available. And it's an even trade in the end.
You know, when I looked at the matchups of the week and I saw you and I were casting this, I got pretty hyped, you know? I was thinking, wow, this is going to be a big one. 2-0-4 teams. It's going to be sick.
Wait, was that a down fight for Bro? No, Palu died at the beginning, right?
Yeah,
he just respawned already. Okay, we're fine, we're fine.
It's fine. But I didn't know we were going to get this down and dirty at down at the bottom of the standings, because none of these fights have been clean. Because Paulo goes in completely alone here. Obviously, the traps are set up for Deft. He buys some time here, but perfect. Well, isolates the Mordekaiser. Now, unfortunately for KT, Deft does ultimately end up going down here. Karis with a really nice stopwatch. Deft takes so much damage. Karis flashes to kill him. Even though the Emperor's Divide misses, he did his job, which makes this a lot closer than it could have otherwise been here, as BDD almost heroically carries the fight. We're not done yet. We're still on the streak.
You can see Deft, he's behind the wall as Polo gets into the pit. It is going to be the Drake secured by BDD somehow, as Perfect just playing bouncer. And now it's a Mountain Soul. True Shot Barrage eaten by the door. And now Young Jay having to deal with all of these rocks. Man, BDD doing a lot of damage as in comes Perfect. He finds the wall. Special delivery, as he's got a Crescent Guard. I just don't think it's going to save him. They're all in the circle, although it does save him for a really long time. Still now Morgan fighting BDD. He does have his Seraphs, but the Mordekaiser is not going to survive after taking him down. And BDD 4 versus 3 now as Karis, he goes golden, Zenith Blade, and Deft just shoots the Leona on her way in. A double kill here. Ace in the hole, make it a triple. There is the ace for KT. And they will be able to push this minion wave through and end the silliness, Wolf.
Yeah, I've had enough of the silliness, but it was very entertaining. And I think KT are looking to punch game one
Yeah.
off of this best of 3.
They're gonna walk into that coach's booth. They're gonna be like, you're proud, right? And he's gonna be like, oh God.
Yeah,
Let's have a chat.
he's going to say what he said before. There are multiple problems. There are multiple things to work on. But at the end of the day, you guys got game 1. We'll give it to you.
You've nailed the outcome now, KT, and let's now make the journey feel better as they look to try and grab a couple of extra kills. Still, the Nexus is going down. Pioshik, the last couple of shots, and that is going to be that. And you can see some sighs of relief, but no real elation here from KT. They know they need another game win at least, but also that wasn't necessarily a crisp victory.
It certainly wasn't. I thought the early game and the first few objective fights were really clean. Like, Perfect is getting the grubs top side, and they're able to still delay the drag and set up for that second fight. The rock placement from BDD was really good. There was some scrappy fights they tried to opt into with their Talia Weaver's Wall, that kind of global aspect of this composition on top side. With it, they kind of botched it. They punished the Baron take pretty well. If they were slow on that one, and Brion got away with the Baron for free, it could have been a little bit more playable, I feel like, this draft here for Bro. Deft and BDD, though, were so big by the end of those trades. They weren't the ones actually getting punished. It was actually Pioshik who ate most of the deaths for KT. Pioshik and Barrel. So Deft is getting huge. BDD is getting huge. They have this huge front line with the Skarner, and it was just really tough to play out from there. Some good attempts from Karis, but was really ultimately, I think, shut down by BDD at every turn.
Yeah, and you can see it's a lot about the setup for objectives, which is a little bit of a problem. As, yeah, perfect, like Wolf just indicating to me the 6,000 extra damage done by the full tank Skarner into the Mordekaiser that does build damage.
Leandri's?
Yeah, it's a little. He did more damage than anyone on the side of Bro. So riddle me that. I think probably Perfect cruising towards a potential POG for this one, but getting a bit ahead of ourselves. We are going to go to a short break. When we get back, the space is going to break it down. We'll have game number 2, whatever that's going to be.
다음 볼게 이거. 짜오 노플 짜오 노플. 짜오 볼래 이거? 이조심 짜오 이조심.
이게 볼래 이거?
나 볼 수 있어 이거. 괜찮은데 괜찮은데?
봐줄래 이거 봐줄래?
우리 그 질감 안 나온다고 이제. 나 모델부터 볼게. 나 살려 들어갔고. 레오나 노플 레오나 노플. 나 살만한데?
이거 살려서 봐줄래? 나
살았어.
뒷라인데
살려봐줄게.
살려볼게.
아 죽었다. 계속 싸워 돼 계속 싸워 있어. 레오나 노플 레오나 노플. 레오나 노플.
벌 수 있으면 걸어줘.
나 볼게. 야 아지르 잘 봐 아지르. 야 큐 막아줘 큐 막아줘.
이지 막고 있고. 잡았어. 봐줄래 이거? 나 죽었네.
나이스. 끝나 우리 유닛 중인데. 이따가자. 끝날만 할 것 같은데 이거.
Well, I mean, full base hatched. You know, he's here now. He's in the LCK. It's happening.
We have seen some great performances from him during his time at D+ Kia, and that's where he had the highest notoriety, but he was also playing alongside Lucid at Thanatos and that incredible roster, Rahel.
Yeah.
So, you know, he had a lot of backup, but his laning phases were really good. His Akali of both good and bad notoriety. It was definitely one of his most iconic picks to me, but
that was the flanking.
Yes.
The flanking.
But he's had some great Akali games, some great Azir games. Let's see what he wants to play here. Before we get too into the weeds on that, take a look at the draft bans here as Rumble's taken away. The Sejuani is removed from Youngjae here. Ashe and the Senna on red side, interestingly enough, banned by Bro. Kalista gone too.
The classic KT bans. I swear every team bans all of these champions into KT. Must be something going on in scrims that they just seem to be too good.
I mean, you think about it, you're like, okay, it's, any sort of barrel shenanigans with the Kalista, I don't like that. The Ashe that Barrel also plays, I don't like that.
Yep.
Genji lost to Senna, that seems like a problem. Let's ban these away. It doesn't make sense when you think about KT's history for the year. As the Vi will be taken away, KT are not going to give Youngjae the same opportunity. Tristana is available. Corki also available.
And
but they're going to go for the Skarner.
So once again, it is going to be the Skarner picked up first. This time it's Bro that do lock it away, as of course we have switched sides. What will be the answer? It was Leona Azir, which did not fill us with enthusiasm. I think a Tristana getting through and being picked up is definitely huge. And this is the trade-off that you have to make, right? Poolbay not deciding to go towards the Trist, and instead them locking away the Skarner.
Seems like a pretty easy Maokai angle here for me, for Pyosik.
I would agree. I think that Maokai has been banned against Pyosik a lot this season as well.
But you know what?
Oh, God.
It's Pyosik Nidalee Atlas. And they are going to be able to take the Talia away.
I think I've got a sore tummy, Wolf. Is Valdez there? Can he come and swap it? No, never mind. We'll have to see.
He won't make it in time.
He will not make it in time. As Talia being the consideration, of course, for either Poolbay or Youngjae. And they can't pick up the Vi alongside it, so they can't go with the same sort of combination. But there are definitely a lot of things that you can utilize.
Diego comes to mind here as a pick with this, the Skarner setup they have. And it could also be Talia in the jungle, and that's what they're going to look for here with the Corki to come through for Poolbay. So, interesting set of champs here already. They have the top side locked down. I don't think we're going to see any CV Max bottom lane Talia here, as on the side...
Wait, Pantheon's up, dude.
I mean, that's true, but please don't do it to me, Alex. Cassante is going to be the answer to the Skarner. They weren't able to take that away. Still in first rotation here for KT. And now the only question is going to be, what is that bottom lane? Kai'Sa gone. Might trade that for a Zeri ban here. Deft is going to feel more comfortable today on that pick than he did in the Hanwha Life series of Fame. And, Zeri sliding into things that otherwise you're getting hit.
We don't need to worry about it. There was a wall, there was a sliding in, there was crow storms. We just don't need to worry. The Alistar taken away from Beryl, of course, historically his best champion that he has ever played, and I think Kai'Sa, Zeri seem like decent bans, and I honestly wouldn't mind if Def just picked Caitlyn.
I mean, he had a great game on it in Game 1. I was surprised there weren't at least some media votes tossed his way because his positioning was really good. He did a lot of boom boom.
He did.
The Varus and the Kai'Sa really indicate to me that they want to pick Zeri, so there's the ban. And it's just going to be the Ezreal instead. And this is what you could do really well as KT when the Alistar ban comes through. You're like, you can't ban both. Both of these are going to be high-range poke champions. They have the Nidalee. They have the... long-term damage burst as well from the Tristana, great in the side. The Cassante can't side lane that well, but the Tristana absolutely can. So looking fantastic here for the side of KT Rolster thus far. See what the bottom lane response is going to be with no Varus, no Kalista.
We'll just have to see
Caitlyn, again,
I was thinking maybe Envy could just go towards the other side of the matchup. He's going to lock the Aphelios instead. It's been a while since we've seen the 200 years. Paired alongside Polu's Nautilus. Bit of engage option there as Beryl. One of his champions he has a skin on. Of course, you can play a Beryl bottom lane if you would like to right now in the meta. Currently, Ashe Leona is pretty good. But he is going to lock away his first one. And that will be the Leona down there. Kind of the only real engage that KT has, but they will have a range advantage, a poke advantage as well as they get into the later stages of the game. So, not necessarily advantage because there is a Corki, but still Ezreal and the Nidalee should be able to get some stuff done.
I like this lane setup here for KT Rolster, considering that we're seeing usually the Tristana does get prio on the Corki. Chovy has broken that rule a few times. He's been able to win out on the opposite side of the matchup, but if you get prio there, Nidalee should be able to put some pressure on in the early game. Top side is just going to be wet noodle action that, the Skarner can win a little bit early, but then the Cassante can start to trade back. The support battle between the Nautilus and the Leona is a really interesting one, but as long as Deft positions well and continues to poke, he will be able to avoid Zenith Blade engages, Nautilus hooks. They have the Zenith Blade counter engage if the hook misses and hits a wall, for example. So a lot of pressure on Palu in the bottom lane as to how he wants to play it out. He does have point and click to set up for that Aphelios damage later on in the game. Youngjae has a huge role to play in this game, though, with his Weaver Wall setup. Not going to be that effective against Ezreal, but definitely can warp team fights in the early game. If KT end up even or ahead at the mid game, this feels unbeatable.
It does feel difficult, but we haven't seen a lot of success for Nidalee. Let's just see how it's going to go as we jump into the Rift for game number 2.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Wow, I tell you what, the KT fan chants are so perfectly coordinated. It's like a choir, you know? It's not like you've got different voices happening at different times. I feel like the fans are more coordinated than the team right now. It's kind of nutty. Of course, KT...
The underhanded compliment, you know?
Yeah. But it was very impressive. They were extremely clear. So maybe KT can channel some of that into a victory here. As the thing that worries me the most is, of course, the Nidalee. I don't think there's any surprise there. I saw Dagon in Twitch chat saying, here comes a 3-gamer, so he has a lot of faith in KT for this game.
BM.
Yep.
Well, I for one do think that while we've seen a lot of our LCK players really struggle to hit spears, we've also seen our Nidalee players not play around Prio all that well and haven't been able to utilize her clear speed to pressure winning lanes, and have often drafted Nidalee when their lanes are losing, for example. In this draft, they have the range advantage bottom side. They have Tristana into Corki in mid. As long as BDD plays it well, they're going to have two angles there. And in neutrals, you know, the Ezreal outranges the Aphelios when you're setting up for a Dragon, setting up for a Baron. The spears will add some extra poke. So when you add all of it up, I feel like the Nidalee in this particular case is not as bad as we've often seen. We'll see how the mid game goes and how the early game, especially more so than the mid game, goes here for KT. But I don't hate it in this case.
The thing that I think could really change things for Bro is pull bait. I actually think the Corki is really huge because he's the only thing that can challenge the range of the Ezreal, right? But can also really do work in this mid lane. We saw just there was doing the Gatling gun thing where you sort of stand there and hope that your opponent doesn't move out of it. And if BDD wants to auto attack at level 2, then he sort of has to stand in it. So it was working out quite well there. Of course, the explosive charge evened out the trade, but you can see how the Corki is supposed to work. So far, very even in that mid lane. So, Bro, certainly some opportunities to even out the series and bring us to a deciding game 3. Here in week 3 is okay. BDD diving on forward. Does find Pullbait with a lot of damage here, down to about 200 as he's drinking through his potion.
It's really hard. You know, the armor shred is strong, but was slightly nerfed on this patch. It's hard to actually win those trades against Tristana because the explosive charge is always going to be some guaranteed damage when you stack up the attack speed with the Q. It's rough. Let's see what Pioshik can get done here. He is playing around a little bit of range prio.
Yeah, prowling. Gonna find the spear onto Apollo. I actually thought that didn't even look like it was supposed to hit, but his Titan's Wrath immediately eaten there by Deft as they're looking for the dive. Beryl walks forward. He is gonna flash. They want to find Envy. They split the damage a little bit here as Beryl will go down first. Polu will eventually fall as now Deft, without turret aggro, is now gonna try and pick up the kill onto Envy, and he'll get it. Pioshik makes his way out and they have minions to spare. KT, they make the dive work, kinda.
Absolutely worth in the end. Not the cleanest, but it's so tough to dive a Nautilus because of his passive, where he can root you with every auto as well as his Q, just locking you into turret aggro. But Pioshik and Deft juggling it perfectly there at the end to save the play. And that ends up being a huge lead now for Deft in the bottom lane. Aphelios going to miss a ton of CS here. Deft going to be able to take a nice back timer as Youngjae trying to get involved over here, is going to be potentially caught, setting a trap.
That was a really good ward that they have over the Grub Pit right now. I mean, it's still the Baron Pit, but it's a Grub Pit at this point in time because the Grubs are about to spawn. But he walked over a ward, so they knew exactly what was going on there. Beryl is going to be found out, as he does look to sweep things, but doesn't get that ward that we were just talking about. Still, BDD just fine in. Like you were talking about, I think the fact that First Blood goes to Bro is like good for getting a bit of extra money onto Polu. But ultimately, missing out on a minion wave and missing out on all the experience, and the fact that it was 2 kills over to KT means that it's a bit of a disaster for Bro.
It's also 4 summoners expended in the bottom lane as well. Like, Ignite is down, Flash is down for both, and the Cleanse is also used, so...
Yeah, Deft used actually nothing.
No, yeah, he didn't need the barrier there because he was just free-firing. He also wasn't under turret aggro, didn't need barrier, didn't need any sort of extra protection. Pyosik also juggled it perfectly, so didn't need to flash away to make sure he doesn't die under turret there. So very clean follow-up to what is obviously a very difficult dive to execute into the Nautilus.
Yeah, and what does it mean, you know? A clean dive from KT? Part of the reason why I sort of declared, like, was it clean is because I wasn't ready for KT to play that sort of moment.
Yeah, no, I also, when I was watching it, I was like, oh no, here we go.
Yeah, right?
Like, I actually had the same feeling. I'm like, oh, they're diving the Nautilus with the Nidalee level 3. It's probably not going to work out, but, you know, like we saw Pays pull off with Leona Ezreal, it can work as Polo's here.
Yeah, BDD is just going to push him away. Does have that level 6, is, yeah, Polo getting a lot of value.
Oh, his Ignite just barely not up. Might have been able to, with one more auto, end up killing BDD there, but he doesn't quite have it.
Young Jay, not level 6 just yet, so isn't able to weave his wall over or anything like that as Full Day. Playing with his life a little bit here, but not going to get dove. And we're going to check it out one more time. Let's have a look at the juggle and see what sort of happened with Beryl trying to start this fight.
Yeah, so Beryl goes in, tries to get on top of Envy. The hook is clean. The cleanse comes out from Envy, so it's a trade back of kills. But look at Pyosik grabbing this one, holding the aggro so Deft can maximize the damage here. Drops aggro, Deft does, so Pyosik can pick it up one more time, and it's perfectly done. Neither of them have to flash. That was really clean, despite what was a nice attempt there from Paulo. Nautilus is so good at anti-dive, but and when the dive and the juggle is that good, into expending a lot of summoners, still end up losing out. In terms of CS, not a huge lead here for Deft, all things considered, but that was absolutely worth.
100%. Really, really nicely played. And the beginning is what looked dicey, and then from there it was pretty expertly done. You could see the communication between Pyosik and Deft, making sure that they didn't take the turret aggro early so that they'd be able to get out scot-free. So nicely done. Not a whole lot of places for Envy to go. So still doesn't have his flash up and available. And KT will push down towards this bottom lane. Young Jay walks over a ward. They see the back coming on through there as well. As Morgan and Perfect, Cassante versus Skarner.
Yeah, how long do we watch?
This is a new matchup. This is a new matchup. Wolf, can you explain to me, like, because I've never seen this one before. This is so cool.
So the thing is that there's a dash for the Skarner where he can pull people and stun them. But then the Cassante has the unstoppable ability where he cannot be CC'd, and he also then pulls people through walls. So they both kind of do a little bit of pulling, a little bit of kidnapping action. They're both very tanky, and fans don't enjoy them a lot to watch them. They're very tanky. They've led us to a double 80 carry meta.
Okay, what does Showmaker think about them?
Showmaker, he has given some strong opinions about Cassante, which has been then posted in messaging boards such as Twitch chat.
That's good to know. I mean, I think that like they do have kits that seem really interesting though, Wolf. Like. And they're relatively new. It's cool to see them both in the top lane for the first time. Is Hook going to land onto Deft, and he presses the get out of jail E card.
Yes.
And that is him just fine. Just trying that one on.
Not
sure about that one.
No, I thought it was pretty solid.
Oh, thank you.
As a Blitzcrank who often catches an Ezreal, but then it doesn't work. It always feels so bad.
Yeah, it does. It feels worse on the Blitzcrank though, because the dopamine
like, I got
of
him
hitting
all.
a hook is like the biggest thing. Yeah.
You know what's interesting about Cassante is he's a tank that becomes a big bruiser DPS in a team fight. Cassante is just a tank that also does a lot of damage. So okay.
Yeah, Beryl getting closed in on here as Young Jay moving on up. Envy with red-white guns, pretty dangerous, but Beryl moving back towards his Nidalee. Pyosik going to come down and save the bottom lane. Deft full health is pretty dangerous. And Spear going to connect onto Polo as well. I mean, that's a decent hit rate for Pyosik here. Having a good day today.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be setting up another dive, but, Young Jay is coming down to dissuade it. The problem is that Pyosik is now just going to move away and take this dragon to give KT the first dragon of the game here at about 9:30. And there's just not much that can be done. You see Young Jay realizes this and pulls away. A lot of vision control around the river here for KT. Young Jay wanted to come down and potentially cover with his Weaver's Wall. It won't end up amounting to too much here as KT taking some incremental advantages in this early game. See this Garner winning out topside still for now is, oh boy.
Yeah, stops the back as well. It's
A
very
double stop.
frustrating indeed. High value True Shot Barrage there. Young Jay's still just hoovering through his jungle, but that's going to mean a decent amount of plates. You can see that KT have a lot of vision on that top side, on that bottom side, and so, I mean, Deft, he is going to choose this to like just have a bit of a tempo back at this point, but I think gets a plate in the meantime as well.
Yeah, I mean, the plate gold he's picked up here, 2 plates bottom side, denying some additional farm here from Envy, who's now going top side. Got a pretty good CS lead as Barrel is going to be seen here.
Yeah, just walks on over to BDD.
It's crazy how, like, Leona is such an iconic pick for me for Barrel when you go back to 2021, where it was played almost every single game. It was the support pick, often even just B1'd back then on that Dom1 roster. Eclipse is just so good for Barrel because he can be wherever he wants, and then he just presses Eclipse if anyone tries to fight with him, and then he takes nothing. Now he's got Warmogs, you know, I mean, not yet, but Leona has Warmogs, and it's so much better for him as he's going in again.
Yeah, just walking towards Polo. Doesn't find the stun, though. A little bit awkward. Well played there by Polo to get himself out of the way. But unfortunately, Barrel just kind of not finding the angles there. Still, 6 grubs on the cards once again. That is a grub monopoly that Pyosik and KT have for this series. We saw them utilize it very well in the last game.
Well, you know what champion in this current meta really likes to have all the grubs? It's that one right there, BDD's piloting it.
I thought I was going to say Ziggs.
I mean, Ziggs also, but, you know, that we see a lot in the meta that's winning a lot.
Yeah, that would be the tryst.
The one that can solo dragons, the one that has a get-out-of-free jail card, the one that can buffer CC, the one that has the most lane prio since Lucian 2021, the one that has peel for herself and also 80 carries despite also having a jump to get away, which can then be used as a, like, after you kill someone, you can escape no matter what after the reset comes through. Has great wave clear. Yeah, that one. That's the one that really loves the 6 grubs to me, Atlas. I think
it's a really long title. It's a difficult one to use every cast, but I will do my best to remember. I've already forgotten. I'm just going to say Tristana, and we'll go from there.
I think that's a good way to shorten it, yeah.
Imagine if that was the acronym that could actually be used into all of those things that you can say that that she does. As KT, speaking of which, Banana Brush Control is put together. 2.5 minutes on the Drake, though. It's not like they're setting up for that one. As Spear, oh, wow. Polo putting in his cardio to make sure that he could walk enough to get himself out of that. Is pretty glad that that hook missed from Polo. I think that he would have been in a lot of trouble. Pyosik lying in wait, and of course they did know that. Still going for that aggressive play with Young Jay in the area.
I mean, BDD,
good sidestep.
He can also come down here. Even the Poolbay has the fast track right now.
Yeah, another Spear is going to go wide.
They can collapse on Poolbay potentially if he's not careful.
Yeah, it feels like we're waiting for someone to make their chess move as now BDD and Poolbay fighting one another. Buster Shot is already out, and there's the Weaver's Wall, but BDD just gets himself away.
Pretty measured play there from Poolbay, deciding his only way out of this one is to actually just start fighting BDD. He is able to punch his way out of there, but still, you can see the power of the spears, even on this, you know, small contest here, small skirmish, how much it really zones Breon. Pyosik doing a great job as Pyosik is now going to...
Oh, man, that was a gimme.
Yeah.
Pyosik not quite able to get there. Still Young Jay making his way towards the mid lane. Poolbay, of course, we saw him just complete that back.
A lot of jungle attention here on the bottom side for both of these. Young Jay spending a little bit more time because they've been a little bit more under pressure, and obviously there was that dive that did happen. Yeah, so he's been really trying to prevent any stacked up deaths here for his bottom duo. But KT taking a really nice lead so far in this game. A little bit less bloody than the first one thus far. A little bit more measured, a little bit slower here, but I like what KT's put together.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I do think that a slow game is the bro playstyle. So maybe their comfort zone can be utilized. They have the Talia, who has been extraordinarily powerful, and we still don't necessarily know. Pyosik missed a lot of spears to make up for me praising him for hitting a couple earlier on. So hopefully he can get his eye in for the next fight. KT look to set up for that one. Rift Herald is now going to spawn. Bro already in position to take this one down. Envy with that crescendum is going to eat through this very, very quickly with Young Jay's help.
Yeah, KT just not really fully in position to contest. They're coming over for a bit of a pinch, but just too slow on this one, unfortunately.
They're actually over the wall here. Does find a lot of damage. Last Mystic Shot will connect. They haven't got the eye.
Yeah, denied.
KT, well, I mean, they haven't denied it fully just yet. Poolbay moving on in as Polu is... what? Okay, I going to be collected here by Poolbay. And maybe that's what Polu died for.
I mean, the pinch happens. They pinched Palu, they pinched Envy at the same time, just kind of cutting through the center there, as they're not able to actually secure the eye, too timid about what could have happened if they stuck around for that barrel engage.
No, Poolbay did get it. He did make.
Oh, he did actually grab it?
He did walk up and get it. That's what Polu died for. So there was a reason. Well, there was a reason.
Yeah, well...
I don't know whether it was good enough. You know, I haven't really haven't made that assessment yet.
Well, we'll have to take a look at that one again because that seemed a little bit sus. At the end of the day, though, you know, it's a dead Nautilus. It's KT getting further control on the map, and Herald can only do so much for you. If you don't have any control, you don't necessarily get to use it.
Morgan, good sidestep there on the spear. Was positioned decently well. Project going to find a minion with that one. Is another Chemtex ult. My goodness.
Okay,
that is 3/4 of the day has been Chemtex ults.
They also get to hard force this Herald here in mid, so it does actually go off.
Yeah, getting a charge. Still not able to do too much here. It's a big teleport. KT really trying to defend. Teleport from Bro underneath the turret. They do manage to lock that one down, so it's kind of working out. Morgan looking for the angle, but not able to lock down a Cassante all that easily. So the teleport is just going to guarantee that Bro are able to walk up and grab the turret.
Yeah, pretty expensive commitment, but absolutely worth it considering they weren't going to get another chance at pushing that mid turret down like the way they had there. So I do think the commitment is warranted. And KT will lose the turret still with a pretty massive gold lead at 3,000, but taking that turret away does open up the map quite substantially, especially for a Skarner to look for some, you know, kidnap angles. You go around the backside, push somebody into a wall, or look for a pull onto potentially Deft. Pretty tough to do. Obviously, both Deft and BDD in this game will have pretty good escapes from that type of engage, but if they can chain the CC together, maybe you can get a pick that way. With the mid turret there, though, it's just too risky of a play, so those open things up a little bit for them, plus the gold that they're going to pick up from the turret itself is substantial.
Yeah, having a look at where the gold is as well, I mean, it's just a few kills for KT. Not too much more as Polu. There is a flash in. Pyoshik able to get over that wall as Beryl gets right into that spot that puts him on the other side. Could have been sandwiched, instead was saved as Poolbay finding himself an auto onto BDD before the rocket jump does come on through. So a little bit of an attempt, not too much else.
I really will say the biggest difference between Poolbay and Karas, besides, you know, a slightly better laning phase here for Poolbay, is just how confident he plays. You know, he does not mince words with his movements. He is definitely looking to threaten. He's pushing on to BDD constantly, not afraid of him.
Solar flare, yeah. True Shot Barrage coming on through there as Deft does so much damage. Beryl just explodes and is going to be able to pick up yet another kill. That is 3 deaths here for the Nautilus. An unfortunate day so far here in game number 2, at least, for Polu. Yeah, as KT should be able to set up some sort of siege here as well, but not actually going to be able to find any minions. Infernum there from Envy is going to easily tidy those up, so I tell a lie. We're able to hold on to that one quite nicely.
And they don't have, you know, a ton of chain CC on the side of KT, but the fact that you can, as Leona, kind of set that up on your own, the Solar Flare, Zenith Blade, and the stun, it's really easy to then set up for spears that way, burst damage from an Ezreal. That's why Leona Ezreal has been so great here in the LCK, kind of popularized by Pays and Lahens, where you set up the CC and then the empowered W comes through, you just stack that damage. It gives Ezreal essentially burst in that moment, and then you blow somebody up, so even the Nautilus is just not going to be able to make it out of there.
Yeah, excellently played. And KT utilize this to try and get at least control of the mid lane. They will be able to do so. You can see Envy and Youngjae should be able to defend this outer turret. Of course, Deft pretty dangerous to walk up at this point in time without deep vision. And we just go back to a pretty calm game state, as Deft now has 2 items completed. Manamune now done, very close to the transformation there as well. And BDD getting closer and closer to the fidget spinner.
Yeah, definitely getting pretty close at this point. So next fight here, likely just going to be the next dragon, which is not that appealing. And you could make the argument, as I'm just going to have a little bit of noodle fight here. You could make the argument that the composition of Bro scales better because they have this AP Talia that's going to do a lot of damage, has a lot of setup, and then you have this insane high damage output Aphelios, but I would argue that because the and the tanky Skarner, but I would argue that the range advantage that Deft has, plus the spears they have, and BDD's split push angle here with 6 grubs, I just feel like if the game slows down, it's never going to be good for Bro. You know, an isolation the comp scales, but
somehow that hook is going to connect there as Weaver's Wall. They're looking for Beryl. Eclipse does come through. He decides that he'll flash it as Morgan. He'll turn this car around, okay? You ask it one more time, and unfortunately, they asked if we were there yet, and Dad said, well, we're going home. You know what? I've had enough of this, kids.
Yeah. I told you to go to the bathroom when we were at the gas station. I asked if anyone had to go.
And Deft, he needs to go. He does Arcane Shift eventually. Not able to buffer that one still. Suffers half of his health bar.
Perfect.
There.
Jack shows TP.
Oh, yeah, that's 2 items being hit for both solo laners in this instant. Deft already had his.
They may try to set up for a Baron turn here. I mean, it's only 20 minutes, 20 seconds here, but let's push this mid wave in.
It's pretty dangerous. They do have some healing, of course. With the Cat Soraka that they do have.
And she's going to just solo this dragon instead, and then they're going to try to clear vision. I mean, they have full vision control over Baron, which is so terrifying here for Bro. And I do think that Bro are aware that Pioshik is on the dragon right now since they had control wards flanking it. So they should be aware that this is not a Baron start just yet, but they still have to fight for the vision.
Yeah, still 3,000 gold is still the lead. I mean, I think Bro can be commended for being able to hold on to this game state, right? I think the next time they fall a little bit further behind, the next fight that goes awry, that's when things really start to become a problem, right? I think KT will start to run away with it. So I think Bro have one more chance to get themselves back into this.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, what you say is true. And if Envy walks away from a team fight with a triple kill, same to be said of Full Day, to be honest, then maybe there's a way back into this game. It's not all doom and gloom. But if we just kind of slowly fight over vision and Dragons go over for free to KT and Tristana gets the side lane more, then I don't think that's the win con you're looking for. And that's where we're at, because it's a Bro game. It's an 0-1 Bro scoreline where game 1 didn't go so well when they were being proactive. And so now it's a little bit more of the slow plays, a little bit more of the professionalism perhaps Edgar was looking for, but I don't know if the draft suits it.
Yeah. It is pretty cool, though, isn't it, though, when we have Bro versus KT, the Edgar versus Hirai, Battle of the Ages. Very, very cool. This is not so cool for Beryl. He's just going to explode.
That's some good Bro activity.
That was really Bro-active. That's Edgar with a smile.
Seized on that Bro opportunity.
And that is now, I mean, Baron is an opportunity. As a opportunity, I apologize.
It's not a cut opportunity, Atlas. You can't take it. Cut opportunity.
Oh God!
I'm sorry, this series is killing me.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's slowed down a lot, and there's no Mordekaiser in the game, so I can't go to my next lore installment.
I could see on your face when I was talking, like, maybe KT do Baron there. You're like, well, I don't know. I don't think so. I'm like, maybe I can will it to happen, Atlas. You know? As I'm open for something. Look,
I did think that maybe it would have been slightly optimistic, and yeah, Beryl, no opportunities there. Of course, he had to flash the last one, and so this one, that one's gonna get him.
Envy with a nice sidestep. He's got his collector done now. Very common second item for the Aphelios, but look at the damage.
Yeah, it will mean that the Infinity Edge is going to really be where he starts hurting massively, but definitely getting a lot of poke damage down. BDD there alongside him as well, as him and Full Day have just been pretty equally poking one another throughout the game.
I mean, Envy just hasn't really done damage this game. He's sitting at 4,000 to Def's 10,000 just because he's not in range to hit the KT players. Most of his damage is when they catch somebody with a Nautilus hook, and then he layers that on top of Full Bay's damage, but otherwise, we haven't really seen that 5v5 team fight where Morgan can kind of be that front line for the late game Aphelios. And that's the big angle for Bro, is to survive until that IE and make sure that KT doesn't get Baron before then, doesn't get Soul before then. Soul Point, you know, they'll take it or leave it. It's Chemtech Soul. Thank Ox for that one. But otherwise, the game is just going to naturally be slow. And when BDD is not pushing lanes, it's not the worst. It's not the end of the world. Still winnable, like you said, unless they lose one more big team fight.
Exactly, and I think a lot of this comes down to the teams that are playing the game, right? I think if you put this composition and you told me it was, for example, Gen G. If Gen G were playing this, these are basically like all of their best champions, and you'd be like, well, there is absolutely no hope for KT, no matter what the game state is. But I think the nameplates have to come into account, And because of that, I have no idea what's going to happen. Honestly, anything could happen because the nameplates exist for KT as well. Morgan and Perfect fighting one another. Polu going to move up, try and even out the odds there a little bit. Young Jay does the same thing as Beryl doesn't find the Zenith blade. Seismic Shove throws him away yet again as Polu is going to be the first to go down. True Shot Barrage, a lot of value as KT find the angle and BDD is diving forward. The Moonlight Vigil goes entirely wide and Envy finds himself the last man standing, or will eventually, I'd assume. Never mind, Young Jay trying to pull it back. Perfect is going to go down, and Envy manages to get the kill onto Pyoshik as well. And it's Death, the last man standing.
Oh, it's feeling like game one again, isn't it, Atlas? Where we're just trading these crazy picks, support for support there. And the AD carries dueling it out on the top side as Pyoshik's spear does land, but he does ultimately end up dying to Envy. As you can see in this fight, Young Jay wants to try to split Deft off here, but where's the follow-up? There's no damage. Then he gets isolated by Beryl, so can't follow up. So Deft gets the free fire here. Beryl will sacrifice his life for it, of course, but look at the spear accuracy here. Bam! Down goes Pulbay, and that's huge because if Pulbay actually gets out there, maybe he can offer some additional damage back. Young Jay, on the other hand, is, and then, yeah, Envy at least gets one kill back. You see the Collector getting some value there, but...
No, it was amazing for Bro. Like, I really had given up on Morgan and Young Jay being able to hold them off, but the Impale, just so much value. And KT, unfortunately, sort of just split and kind of went, we're on cleanup. We're going to win this fight. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, they were very split there. And, you know, the Impale plus Talia combo, her rocks as well as the shove, really nice. Is optimistic Baron start here for KT without much control.
Yeah, is this that opportunity that you were talking about? Well, KT have decided that they missed the window for that one.
Yeah.
And Bro are going to move on in themselves, getting a lot of control. Banana Brush, very important. That will be taken down. And I think KT are now walking into this what does Nidalee do now type situation of the game, where Pyoshik needs to fish for some of these spears, needs to find some angles.
And that's so reliant on vision control. That's so reliant on being able to approach the objective and to have vision to fire spears. If you're just throwing spears in the dark, yeah, sure, just like throwing darts at the board in the dark, you know, you might hit one, but they're likely just going to come up empty. And
or you throw them out the window or do something very dangerous.
Yeah, so don't
throw darts in the dark, okay?
Yeah.
That's first rule. Exactly. And maybe that's something that KT should look at as well, trying to get some of that vision down. Pyoshik looks for some spears here.
They need some prio, and they're just not getting it. And you can see that Pyoshik's trying to wrap around. At least they get vision here on this brush, and that's when you could spear. That's when you could force Bro to come to you.
Oh, another Seismic Shove going to connect as Polu gets the pullback barrel. He does find a stun onto Young Jay, who is doing a lot of damage, but he is still really dead. And now Morgan, a mega tank, as Young Jay looks for the fling back. Perfect is going to find his, though, as it's BDD throwing down so many autos, but the pullback is perfect from Polu. That dredge line timing was gorgeous. And you better believe we're taking a barrel.
Oh, absolutely. And Beryl, he's up there trying to contest that vision, but on the other side, as that's a lot of damage done actually off the true shot. I mean, if BDD gets some resets here, maybe, but I still think this Baron is gone. Let's see what they can get done.
Yeah, I mean, these two are doing a lot of DPS, and look at Bro's health bars. They are getting lower. Pyoshik is not landing any spears, though, as the depth charge comes on in. Seismic Shove is going to get buffed. The Baron does go down, but can they get out? And it looks like the answer might be yes. KT still trying to chase them down. Just no vision, no opportunity, and Morgan is just a brick wall standing in their way. Seismic Shove, not gonna find it. This outer turret was down, but look at Bro. They're just walking. They're just walking out.
They're walking out. They're walking out with their prize. And this, unlike game one, is gonna be the successful Baron call after the pick of Beryl. The Beryl's trying to contest for vision. He's up there at the front, but the brick wall that is Morgan here is just zoning Deft out. He's not offering back any damage. Look, Polu gets hit, but he blocks it with the shield. And then Beryl is just too far forward here. No one to peel, no one to turn on this fight as Deft is so far away. Chucking Qs at a perma-shielded Skarner isn't going to be the way that this is going to work out here for KT. And the Perfect is just isolated. Look at BDD and Deft try as they might to hurt the Skarner. It's not working.
No.
And down they go. Perfect is dead. It's the Baron turn.
And KT, they were able to grab themselves the Drake off the back end of that. We saw in the picture-in-picture. BDD was also able to get a turret, so you can see that the gold has not changed. Baron Power Play is merely the gold that they picked up when they killed it. But now, with a minute and a half, they should be able to start building that play up.
And they have so many different CCs they can set up here. It could be Palu starting it off. It could be Youngjae with a flip. It could be the Morgan flank. So really defensively is how KT has to play this. They've got a few teleport wards as the observers are showing here, as well as those Nidalee traps they could try to play for.
Well, in goes BDD. Morgan is not exactly a target that they can kill very quickly.
He has...
he wanders through the wall and he's fine.
Look at his build, you know, he doesn't have to build into AP defense here because laning into a Cassante, so it's just so difficult for Deft to hurt him for even the Tristana that has LDR.
Yep, and now Megacone can be taken here by Morgan, who dives in. Deft is just sandwiched into the wall, but it seems like he's kind of okay with it. Down goes Liscana now, perfect. He dives in, he's on top of Envy, he goes all out, but then he's all out of the game. As Polu, he's going to be taken down. Envy gets hit by a spear, and now it is Poolbay trying to be the monster. It's a double, but Deft is able to take him down, and now Envy, you ain't going to be back in there, and now he has to figure out how to get through this one. Oh, Moonshot going to connect, as I don't know whether they even really want to take their chances here. Envy is very scary.
Yeah, this is really scary.
Oh, doesn't connect the Q though. And now, Deft is going to dive forward, going to shut him down. That's going to be the ace. And KT even out the game state.
Egon no longer a bro lever. Yeah, I mean, this one's pretty wild because when you look at the setup here for Bro, they've pushed themselves into this really, really deep spot here. And Morgan decides, okay, I'm going in. I'm going to look for the pick. We've picked barrels successfully so many times, but yes, you're tanky. I feel like I caster cursed him like the Skarner will never die, but alone, isolated there with nothing coming back, you do. Poolbay, though, being at full health here offers back so much damage in this moment. Killing BDD is so clutch here and taking away that shield from Deft. And Envy, really good game sense here, is like, okay, I can't back. He wanted to get the empowered recall, but he's like, if I get True Shot, that is a disaster. Just tries to hold his own here, but eventually, Dust gets pushed out.
Deft was just a bit better on the trigger finger there.
And, you know, it looked like it was a really good angle there to punish Barrel, but unfortunately Morgan was just way too far forward there from the rest of his team.
And look, some things happened throughout the game. What we need to report on right now is that the gold is, you know, separated by 1,000. Like, nothing, pretty much. Yeah. So we have an entirely even game state outside of the fact that KT has Chemtech's Soul Point. And Koshik, he also has a problem with a circle on the ground. He will be taken down. Poolbay's going to be traded though. BDD just Goomba stomps him. Now it is Youngjae that has to deal with the Tristana, and he will. It's a double kill as Solar Flare comes on through. Youngjae is going to tank it. Deft doesn't have True Shot Barrage, so he can't get the snipe. And that's an impale onto Perfect. It's sort of 1 versus 3 at the moment, but he's extremely tanky. Moonlight Vigil comes in, but doesn't do the damage.
This game is so wild.
It's so dumb, Wolf.
It's so dumb. All right, so Envy's level 16. He went, by the way, BT third. Did not go LDR. Did not go IE, which we were
definitely didn't go IE based on what that Moonlight Vigil did.
It's not really hurting them, but he's healing a lot. And
oh, nice buffer this time from Deft, but the turret is still going to go down.
Deft's in trouble, potentially.
Yeah, that is going to be at least Perfect protecting him. He'll get shoved into the wall, but otherwise he will be able to make his way out.
Oh!
He goes in! I don't know about that one, as Envy is able to stand his ground. The Severum doing work, and now Perfect. Oh! It's Deft that gets the kill onto the Aphelios, and Beryl, the hero, is still alive. Double kill for Deft, and like, what is happening this? I feel like we need to have a game 3.
Yeah,
just because of how ludicrous this whole
I just want to
series
reset.
is.
I don't want to cast this game anymore, I can tell you that, but we're trapped in Atlas. As Piercing gets caught first here initially, but then Poolbay is, okay, I got scared about what was happening alive. Nothing's happening alive, just the lanes are being pushed.
Yeah, it's
anyway,
fine.
in the follow-up to this fight, there's a TP coming through from Perfect, and Palu helps P. Okay, glad we skipped this part. Then, unfortunately here, Envy just doesn't do damage to Perfect, and Deft is so well protected by Perfect here. Palu's hook is really a disaster, because if they can actually just keep that health bar full to try to continue to push the issue here and help heal for Envy, maybe Deft gets zoned out, but Deft is just so clean here. Palu's out of the fight, and Deft cleans it up.
He doesn't get baited by the Polo kill as well. He just
slow play.
Changes his focus to the target that does the damage. Exactly what they need to do. So that's Chemtech Soul. And in 6 minutes time, ladies and gentlemen, that is when the true climax of this series will be.
Well,
unless the game ends before that, or Baron is taken and then it's irrelevant. But I think Elder Dragon It's the poetic end.
Palu?
This is Palu! I'm not sure about that one, but now Deft is going to get dove on by Youngjae. And that's a rocket from Pulve to take him down. And Palu walks his way out just casually. That'll be a Baron.
That's a barrel move right there from Paulo. We learned from the best. You know, just look for the crazy flank play. It doesn't work out at all. Guess what? You still won the fight. You still got the pig.
And they were so distracted.
Yeah, and
they get the shutdown.
Now, I was going to say the climax of this game might be Elder, but it also might be a double Elder game because I feel like that's where we're going, Atlas. I don't know if one Elder is enough to end this game.
I mean, it's a double Baron so far.
Yeah, that's Depth's first death of the game, by the way.
Yeah.
And he aggressively goes forward for the punish and then is caught by Youngjae, who's had a fantastic game. I feel like it's Youngjae versus Deft for most of this game for me, for all the setups we've seen, for all the clutches from Deft.
That's what it feels like. And now Hook is going to connect onto Perfect, looks to try and get himself out, but it's a fantastic impale. Still, Perfect trying to get out. Seismic Shove's too good, finally has to flash as the inhibitor is going to get taken. And now, with BDD coming back, Infinity Edge in hand, that is 4 items. True Shot Barrage, half healths. Youngjae, that's why they're capable of doing this. Getting the kill into Death just so big. And now the game is so much further in Bro's hands.
Yeah, if they had actually killed Perfect there, I think they probably could have just slowly pushed to end there, but they decided to think better of it. As this is the Palu angle, right? Deft Ease doesn't have it anymore, doesn't have Flash either, so Youngjae is able to follow up so successful.
Pulve gets the money as well, man.
Yeah, and Pulve kills him with both the Rocket and Phosphorus Bomb layered, bam, right on top of that Ezreal, blows him up. Now he has Rapid Fire Cannon, he's full build, and it's a huge Corki. The Aphelios is getting larger. Deft is pretty huge himself, and the Tristana, given any time in the side will take out the inner we saw go down bottom side, has a 2,000 gold deficit because of that bounty, in part due to that bounty that Pulve picked up on the kill onto Deft, but the gold doesn't really matter that much anymore. It's really just about how these fights play out.
I have to say though, Chemtech, with the way these fights are going, I feel like Chemtech Soul has a lot more value.
That's true. I mean, especially when you consider what Cassante is going to do.
Yeah.
With it.
Not to mention also, like, Nidalee heals, right? Like, you primally surge these double 80 carries. They're going to get a bunch of extra health back and stuff like that.
This is a bit awkward. KT all grouped up on top side, where Tristana would have loved to take that out by herself while they defend bottom, but they're all grouped to then just back. So Bro's going to get some free push, some free map control off of this. They have Baron too, so this might just be a turret going down.
Trying to find an opportunistic pick there or something like that as the slow from Solar Flare does come in. Barrel just blows up like a balloon. And Bro are just moving forward. Deft is alive this time, but it's double inhibitors now down. And Bro are methodical. They're finding the angles. And now they're looking to siege these Nexus turrets. BDD slowed down by the rocks, thrown in by Morgan. And Deft trying to get these Mystic shots, but he's just not quite finding them. Pulve will finally take a few, but that is the first Nexus turret going down. Bro, I think they might have done it. I think they might have brought us to a game 3. It's the double pullback from Perfect. He goes all out, but then he just disappears. And it's an exposed Nexus now. BDD, he gets on top of Youngjae, but he goes golden. And will then find the extra, never mind, doesn't find the extra rocks, but Koshik, these health bars are so excruciatingly low. But Deft, can he defend? The answer is no, because the Nexus goes down, and Bro, bring us to 3.
That's what we all deserve, isn't it, Atlas? Is a third game.
Absolutely.
Between our 9th and 10th place teams of the LCK right now. Winner avoids last year, halfway through week 3. And a crushing loss for KT, who had a lot of control in that game, but some really decisive calls from Bro, especially by Palu. He was so feast or famine in that game. He either made the worst possible risky play, which watched and lost control of them, or best possible play, misses the hook, doesn't matter, Deft goes down.
And that could be the expression of
literally anyone
on both sides at this point in time.
A Fnatic fan watching this has the same face. I'm telling you, Atlas.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would agree.
TSM fan, yeah, same thing. So, look, if you're a KT fan right now, you are not happy with how these games are going. The first game was way too close for comfort. The second game, you lost control real rapidly. You're the one who had the Tristana. You're the one who had so much map control. Evie went BT third and couldn't hurt Perfect, but guess what? In the end, Pulve did the big damage in this one, and he did it when it mattered most.
It's a lot of boom, and as we can see in this graph here, it was Bro just clawing their way back. No dragons required, no grubs required. They'll just take a couple of barons and they will eventually win the game. Time now for us to go to a short break. We'll get ourselves together and be back ready for game number 3 after the space.
얘들아 그래 5초 천천히 얘들아 두 입으로 세게 해보자 얘들아 이거 제발 빨리지 마 우리 바로 먹고 있어 빨리 미드라인 지키고 얘들아 그냥 앞라인부터 봐 이거 딴데 2타만 조심해 야 강사살 끌어볼게 이번에 아무나 끌어도 돼 타워 이대로 딴데 2타야 조심해 나 지금 다 빠졌고 야 타워 쳐볼래? 미드 노비전 타워 쳐 얘들아 위에 앞라인부터 얘들아 타워 얘들아 쌈바 집중해 천천히 얘들아 산정부 얘들아 쌈바 야 솔직히 이해할 때 부대 아래 아 내가 너무 못했다
Talking about him because the game wasn't really about him. I mean, sometimes the damage was, but how he played a lot of the exchanges against BDD was way more confident than what we've seen from Karis this season. And I hope that this is not the last series we see Pulbe in. Hopefully next time he'll be a starter because he looks like an upgrade, at least at the moment.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Kalista gone, Sejuani gone, his bans repeat. We do see this Senna ban, the Rumble ban here on red side, as Corki not going to be played a second time here for Pulbe. You see his reactions not feeling too happy about it. Let's see if they take away the Tristana.
Yeah, I think that would be the repeat, right, of the last bans, but see whether they do try and mix it up. No, it's not going to happen. So now it's going to be the Skana lock-in, I would assume. I would actually prefer Talia. I think Talia has really shown up as the one in this particular series, but they are going to lock the Skana regardless. I think that Morgan had a great game last time around as well. I really liked it when he pulled over and, you know, said that he wanted to get out and stuff like that. That was really fun. but just being that frontline, he was very, very effective.
I think Bro will probably take the Talia again, though.
I mean, Talia Vi, like, just take it now.
Yeah. You could take the Cassante here and then grab the Talia, then, you know, take the Vi or see if the Vi is taken away and let the draft shape around that, as, you know, there's not a great mid left. I mean, you could play Ahri in this situation as BDD if you want to play Ahri Vi, for example, but
I think this is a perfect choice. And I think picking Cassante early is absolutely fine as well. Of course, just going to that handshake matchup. I think this is like the main thing, though. You get your hands on the Talia and you're feeling like you're the one in control of the series. Ezreal being the consideration here for Deft. Of course, Arcane Shift not being a dash really does help into the Talia, but we saw in that last moment that it was just not enough.
Now you can just take the Vi into this Ezreal. Feels like a great way to lock him down. Sometimes it pulls you pretty deep into the team fight, not quite as strong as it is into a Zeri, for example, but that's definitely a consideration here. Both the Tristana and the Corki are gone for Pulbe. If they wanted to flex the jungle to Talia, they need another AD pick here. Not sure if Lucian's going to fit the bill.
Oh, okay.
It makes a lot more sense.
Pulbe.
Makes a lot more sense to see the Yone in this scenario. And you can, to a certain extent, protect it now in the draft as well. If they want to remove some of the BDD picks, he could play into this. You know, for example, both the Tristana and the Corki that BDD, you know, struggled in his own Yone came into in lane, are gone already. They take away LeBlanc, another pick that can be a little bit tough, and they may just ban Azir in that final spot.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great idea because with the Viego locked in, they need a mage. So it has to be someone that's doing the magic damage, and I think that Azir, very good source of consistent magic damage in its BDD, right? He definitely wants to. If he goes to Syndra, I'm going to be extraordinarily frightened because that harkens back to a game that we do mention from time to time, but it isn't very nice to BDD to talk about it.
I mean, I think Syndra in this draft is okay when you have the setup for the Viego, you have a Skarner, there's a lot of burst damage, but I just don't think it's that meta. I don't think we're living in that era right now, and it's just so immobile. Does have some peel, obviously, but that's not going to help.
Getting out of a seismic shove is more difficult. That's absolutely
Yeah,
true.
I mean, it's going to be pretty tough into the Yone, Talia, Cassante to play that pick, so see what he opts for here. I mean, we're going really deep.
Yeah.
I mean, he could play Veigar again in this draft, but I just don't feel
that
like
might be where we're at, but that would be dangerous. Like,
Yeah.
he needs something with a level of mobility.
I just don't think the Veigar is going to be it. Maybe he has to play something with insane push instead, like Rise. I have no idea what he's going to pick.
I have Silas on my brain right now. But
Silas?
Of course, Silas just, like, you don't like the rocks.
He is
I mean,
gonna play
Ari
Ari.
also doesn't like rocks, but they're going to lock it in anyway. That's the attempt. And, of course, Youngjae is the one that's going to be playing the Talia, so it's not like you have to deal with the Unraveled Earth in lane, but still navigating these team fights, like, Alistair and Ari do require that as... Is that support Maokai? That is a lot of fun.
Unless it's support Talia, I don't think so. So
it is something that can very reliably get on top of Ezreal, especially if you sort of time your twisted advances correctly. It does mean that Deft has to do a lot more thinking in order to get out of the way of that one.
it's kind of like budget Vi in its own weird way, but
Targeted CC, baby.
Targeted CC plus the ability to lock down an Ari and prevent her from dashing around in the team fights, and you could set up for a Yone ult, you could set up for a really nice seismic shove, and they have great follow-up with this Kaisa in the draft. I actually kind of like what Bro has put together here. Not only was it creative, but it all came together in such a nice way. Ari Viego, we mentioned it earlier in the draft, but when we moved to the second phase, it didn't feel like that was the angle that the draft was looking for here for KT, because there's still that same Ezreal burst where you get a charm, you hook up that W, you go E in, you blow somebody up. But if you use your E aggressively, you're in trouble, as we saw in the last game. In the replay, I thought Deft didn't have flash. Chrono pointed out he actually did. He got caught anyways after that Palu play. He's going to have to play a little bit cleaner than that if KT are going to take their first win of the season. Remember, guys, this is the first time in 4 years that they will go 0-5 at the start of the season if they lose to Bro right here, right now.
And if they go 0-6, we're in uncharted territory. So, okay, Savings Bank Brion, let's see whether they are going to be able to take this and move us towards that history we've never seen. Jump into the rift for game number 3.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 미니언 생성까지 30초.
All right, fans in full voice, as we now look to see where things are going to start off at. Ari versus Yone, not a matchup that I was expecting to see here today. Is Envy going to avoid the last Mystic Shot?
Yeah, it's not a bad matchup for the Kaisa if you actually can, end up dueling with the Ezreal, but he will range you at level 1. This weird, setup here where you have to chasing him down.
생성되었습니다.
Wondering whether Beryl was going to go for like some sort of attempt, but just going to watch him leave.
I think that's wise, but with
Yeah.
Beryl, you never know.
That was what I was thinking. I'm like, there is absolutely no way, but yeah, that would be absolutely insane.
BDD going for Airy here rather than the Electrocute is going to give him a little bit more sustained trading power. Electrocute got buffed on this patch in the early levels, so it's been quite popular, and it's, I think, a part of why we're seeing LeBlanc return to this meta because of the trading patterns. But into the Yone, he can kind of just shield some of that damage and trade with you incredibly well. But the Airy is just going to be every single time you harass, you're going to get some value of that. Also going to give you Mana Flow Band, access to that tree, as well as the Scorch for some additional trading. So good rune choices here for BDD.
Yep. And we'll see how Pulbe is going to do in this lane. I don't necessarily think of Pulbe as that Yone guy. I think of him as a Swain guy. So we'll see how he's going to do here. Of course, was very good at things like the Akali, so we know that he can play melee assassins very well. As Deft and Beryl going to be able to pick up the level 2 first. Control of the lane here for an Ezreal and an Alistair is impressive. Not a lot of level 1 power, but they are going to be able to get control of the minion wave quite nicely.
Yeah, Paulo hits level 2 now. Be so careful about moving forward here as this Ezreal right now.
Yeah, Voidseeker going to connect onto Beryl. Now, Apollo not going to find the Bramble Smash. Few things being missed. That's okay, they're testing the waters. We get the little zoom in, there's a headbutt Pulve. Apollo's going to get knocked up.
Def just trying to use his Q for some really nice trading here early on where, you know, you see the attempt from Beryl to get a knock-up, then bam, 1 Q comes through. You hit that enough times on the Apollo, then you can actually start to push the lane in and the wave through. Yeah, this is such a tightrope walk here for Polbey this early game. These first few levels so tricky into the Ahri, but he's managing it quite well so far.
I would say so. I actually think that like the pressure feels like it's on the Ahri though to do more, right? To make sure that you're not allowing Polbey to get through unscathed, because you can really take over after that. As Pyosik going to take a few threaded volleys. Too much more happening here as Deft finds the W, but the plant is actually going to even things out nicely. Never mind. Barrier going to be utilized though as there's the ignite onto Polu. Seismic Shove gets 2 as once again he gets that work done, but Youngjae going to get stunned up now. Deft is going to move in. Double buffs on the line. They're going to be picked up by Pyosik, who does not get the Seismic Shove onto the bro members underneath the turret, and that was neck and neck, but KT, they're the ones that find it.
Really clean, slow play there by KT's. Pyosik's damage is not one to shake a stick at this stage of the game, even with the shove coming through from Youngjae. It's a huge loss for Bro. First blood going over to the Viego. Flash down now for both Palu and Youngjae on the play. KT lose nothing. And just the Ezreal range, the skirmishing power this far, or this early in the game, this feels fantastic. As if you can stack Plasma as Envy in these scenarios, you feel really good about this. Deft already using Barrier to get that trade won. Paulo has to flash over the wall here, and Pyosik's damage output is just so insane, and Barrel helps set it all up there with Deft. They're just 2 split. Envy can't get in there. Paulo already used his buttons.
Yeah. Bit unfortunate there for Bro. Very close to being an incredible moment. Unfortunately, just not quite enough damage at that stage. Did get a taste of exactly what they are going to be capable of. I think Youngjae also, you know, he got a Dark Harvest stack, so it ain't nothing, you know?
True.
But still, it's not the greatest of starts. 500 gold going to be the advantage here for KT as the dust settles. But the big thing is, I think that Deft gets a decent back and can now just really start to scale towards, you know, getting the Trinity Force, getting that Muramana online. Envy doesn't quite find that Voidseeker.
You mentioned how the matchup can turn very quickly in the mid lane. That is already happening here as Polbey is just a little bit of experience down on BDD. Doesn't have level 6 just yet, but is actually going to be able to control this lane, slow down the back. Neither laner has teleported back. You see Lucidity picked up here for BDD, as well as a refillable and a control ward. We'll see what Polbey decides to grab after he backs off this wave. And you know, some attack speed will help him out in this lane.
Yeah, it might just be boots too for both of them.
Yeah, it should be Greaves. He should be able to pick up here off this back with how late it is. But there it is.
Yep.
And TP back to lane. So both mid laners, no disaster just yet. I thought with, you know, how new Polbey is in the LCK, as well as how well versed BDD is on Ahri, we might see something more. As over here,
yeah, going to be wards cleared out as Pyosik has got this dragon down to half as that's a pulverize onto 3. Twisted advance from Polo to try and get him out of there as now Envy trying to chase them down. Barrel, even the dragon gets mad at him. Voidseeker soaked by Pyosik and now Deft is just tanking them. He has Arcane Shift, should be able to get himself out. See, he was holding that cooldown for so long. Never had to use it in the end.
yeah. I guess all 3 of these games are going to be like this, Atlas.
Okay, BDD going to dash in, finds the charm, and Polo is dead. The Orb of Deception was quite deceiving in that moment, and that is going to be a couple of kills, but I feel like KT are just barely getting away with these.
Yeah, they're just barely getting away, but getting away with it twice now in a row. BDD the one who picks up the kill this time. Polbey does not match his rotation down there, does not come over for a big ult or anything like that to change or warp that fight. And BDD will be able to return to lane and pick up that wave too. It's not like he's really getting anything done in the cross-map mid.
Oh, okay, he's just gonna go.
Could have been big.
Yeah, it was a little bit worrying. But just going to hold steady. Polo throwing down some saplings, getting some information. Comes back to lane, and Envy will be able to at least clear out this wave.
Polbey doesn't even get the plate in mid either. Not a whole lot, unfortunately, as this is started by Barrel here. Youngjae and Envy do offer a lot of damage back, forcing Barrel to flash, and Envy is hoping he's getting that last auto in. Voidseeker blocked by Pyoshik, and then Deft doing his magic here. Pobe over here, but not actually able to impact the play, decides to go back. And this is where things get really messy here because KT stay, there's no vision here. The sapling comes through, but it's just a second too late.
Oh, man.
VOD comes in with the charm. And if Pobe decides to stay there, if he actually does impact that play, he could have changed, he could have turned everything around. But it was a trap set by KT, and Bro, again on the knife's edge, come up empty.
Yeah, pause is going to come on through here. I'm wondering exactly what's causing that one. I saw some pings on the top side. So perhaps that's what it was. We'll get to the bottom of it ASAP. And in the meantime, we can consider what's going on. I believe
Ref on Deft.
Yeah, Ref was having a look at Deft's PC. And right now, you can see KT abiding by the rules, not having a discussion or anything like that, just taking a rest, pressing tab a little bit here on the side of Perfect.
Yeah, this is a really frustrating situation for Bro. Momentum against them. Pause requested seemingly by KT Rolster's Deft, and not allowed to discuss the situation here on either side. It's one of the most tense moments. Again, this is our 0-4 versus 0-4 matchup with one of our teams that you wouldn't be surprised if they go 0-4, 0-5, 0-6, Bro, with their recent results. Yeah. Versus a team that less than a year ago was the top team in the LCK, vying for a spot in the LCK finals, our world's representative. And, I think for Bro, there's a lot less pressure than there is on KT right now. KT is absolutely expected to win this, with the exception of Degon on the English side. Everyone else predicting KT Rolster here, coming in as massive favorites. And the fact that it's been this close feels so tense. But on the other side for Bro, looking at this series, looking at this game right now, how cool would it be to actually beat KT, get that first win, say KT is the worst team in the LCK right now. Yeah. It's hard strength of schedule. That includes us. But, this early game state, 1,300 gold to lead at 8 minutes. Not looking great so far. Yeah,
it's definitely not the start to this game, but, we said that about game 2. And guess what Bro did? They just refused to give up. And that's what Bro Leaf is all about. It is all about, even if things look dire, even if everything you've seen from this team in the past has equated to most likely you're going to lose, it's holding on to that little shred of hope, holding on to every bit of that desire to win for Bro that you can get. And basically, you're just never going to say it's Brover if I'm breathing and all that sort of stuff that I assume there's going to be a fair bit of spam of in the chat, and it's you guys that are really holding this team together. I think without that, without those paragraphs, it would have been a huge problem. So KT reported a bit of an in-game issue here, so we're trying to figure out exactly what that is, and we'll figure out a fix or an answer coming up. Yeah, still no idea as to what it actually was. I'm sure if that does get clarified, we will see what it is.
Yeah, once we know what it is, we'll put that up for you guys. To give you guys a history, I do think it's time to talk about this being potentially KT's worst season of all time, because if they lose here, as you mentioned, they go 0-5, which will be the tie of the 2020 record, which we discussed a little bit yesterday. Then they play against T1, currently second place team in the LCK, just by 1 point at the moment. But second place team look a lot stronger than KT. KT lose to Bro. There's a very low chance they beat T1, and then the schedule gets tougher again for the rest of their matches. So, the loss streak might be historic for a team that has been one of our biggest organizations since the StarCraft Brood War days in Pro League. And it feels so strange, Atlas, because we've really been on the roller coaster of KT's 2022 looking a little bit better. Maybe they're going to Worlds, doesn't end up happening. It's DRX makes that run. 2023, year of KT, it seemed like summer of KT especially, nearly able to get it. They had the first and All-Pro. Moving to this season, it's a changed roster, lost Cuz, but you got the World Champions, you got Deft and Barrel together. Felt like there's some hope. Spring season wasn't too rough, but you think coming into summer, Synergy's going to be better. This team should be better than they were in spring, and yet the opposite has held true. I think it's a bit of a shock to all LCK fans that KT is sitting where they are in the standings, and now nearly beaten by Bro, ahead in this third and final game, but it's never over till it's over.
Yep. Or it's never Brover till it's Brover, right? Like it's either of these things for both of these teams. And I think that a lot of what you're saying is true. Like, I don't know what I was expecting for KT, to be honest. They're such a difficult team to really quantify and figure out on the one hand, you know, they could win Worlds. On the other hand, they could be incredibly low in the standings, right? Like, and all of these players have been in every different position, apart from Perfect, who's just been kind of fine. You know, had a great time in Challenger, hasn't necessarily been our best top laner here, but the problems don't come from top lane.
Yeah.
And the top lane hasn't been all that relevant, so it's these other factors, the fact that you just don't know which Pyosik you're going to get, which BDD, which Deft, which Beryl.
That drawing says let's start going up starting today. At the 10th place mark there, KT hiking up the mountain.
It's actually a very cute picture as well.
I saw a sign earlier in game 1 that said, KT, it's time to start the season, please. And you know, it's such a stressful situation for your KT fan, being on the lower part, the trough of the roster coaster right now. We again don't know yet what the bug Deft is reporting is, as obviously the last few fights went very well for them, and I don't think it's something that necessarily negatively affects Deft, but it might be something that he's reporting in terms of frames, or maybe it's something that he's just doing his due diligence. He wants to make sure he reports he knows something weird, or maybe his items isn't doing the right amount of damage or something like that. We will let you guys know as soon as possible.
He says it's an in-game thing, so sometimes they can be a little bit more serious, so we'll just have to wait until we do get confirmation as to exactly what that is.
Yeah, much more serious than a hardware issue, which is usually very simple.
Yeah, we're going to get some information as to what's going on. Aha, so there is a little bit of an issue with when the minions were making their way down the lane. KT were thinking that they were arriving to lane late, but it was because as they were moving out of the Nexus, so as they were spawning, they lost their sort of home card movement speed by True Shot Barrage.
True Shot Barrage.
And that made them arrive late, and so it wasn't actually a bug, it was just a situation in the game based on the fact that a True Shot Barrage hit the minions, and therefore they were slow.
Home guard. Okay, that's really interesting, as that's a very unusual thing that could occur, but if you're not sure that True Shot hit the minions because you don't have vision of that and they arrive late, like it's...
Or you just weren't watching, so you're not really considering that, and then your timings, like these are guys that just spend all day playing League of Legends, so these timings are drilled into them, and so as soon as something isn't quite working, then they're going to notice immediately. But back into the game now, confirmation that everything is working as intended. Pro also going to be able to grab some grubs here. BDD back to lane, and Pyosik moving down will probably trade for this dragon, or at least hope to. Another attempt onto the dragon here, as first grub does go down. Welcome back to Scoreboard, we missed you. And there are a couple of grubs, doubling the amount of grubs that Bro have got so far this series. Looking really good. They might be able to triple it here as well, as ulti is going to miss there, as BDD just dashing around, trying to find the angles. The rocks go down a little bit late there as BDD just skirts it, playing this one really nicely.
He just easily sidesteps the Yone ultimate, just walks a little bit top, and then he's able to ult his way away from the shove. Doesn't need to use flash. Really well handled by BDD there. And Bro come up a little bit empty. An ult for an ult trade in the mid lane.
Yeah, this ward does spot exactly what's going on here, as Beryl and Pyosik going to move into the brush, as Young Jay coming on down. Of course, remember, Poolbay doesn't have the ulti, so it's going to be hard for them to fight for this dragon if KT are going to start something up right now. As Envy moving back to the lane, and Deft saying, no, I will try and shoot you.
Now, BDD did back here, so there was a window of time to where Poolbay could maybe look for something nice back tonight.
Yeah.
But they don't have a ton of vision here, and, you know, Pyosik's on Dragon now. I just don't think they can group. The True Shot Barrage is going to stop those backs. It's super awkward for the side of Bro, and I think this is just going KT's way, this first Dragon.
Yeah, I think so. Based on the fact that Poolbay needed to go back home, didn't have ultimate, 100%. So Deft holding Envy in position. He's going to now go for his reset. Pyosik going to take that one, and it is not a Chemtech Soul. Thank you, Ox.
Right.
No Sustra in the chat. He is doing really, really well in this particular game.
In this particular game.
Yes.
I like the...
Oh, he wasn't even paying attention. We just got...
He's glued to the other screen.
Ah, that's what it is. That's what it is. So he's just somewhere else paying very close attention, guys. Believe me. Trust me. Guaranteed. There's Morgan in Perfect, just doing the Cassante Skana thing. Yeah.
BDD doing the Ari Roam thing, though.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. But of course, Morgan does have that thing that he can do where he's like, no, CC, I would prefer it if you did not do anything. And so therefore, he is able to just wander his way out. VOD not quite there at exactly the right time to make something happen. But still, opportunity. And okay, Young Jay was in position. Perfect. Oh yeah, you don't have to do too much. Still had to flash. Still has to flash.
He does burn his flash off of that, so ends up being a successful play nonetheless. But very much a new Skarner moment.
Indeed.
Where he gets out. Zeri, they were like, okay, we got Zeri out on 80 carry. We got to get someone else that can get out through the walls. And it's going to be Skarner in this case, who
hey, in his defense, Morgan did pull him through the wall to begin with.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of that going on these days.
Yeah.
Riot was like, Talon was great. We got to do more like that.
I did like, the Talon rework was fun.
So it ends up amounting to nothing here as Pulbe, nice shield here.
Ooh, Charm is going to miss. That's actually a big deal as Pyoshik going to come on over, and Pulbe takes that as advice to get out of there. That is going to be correct. VOD, half health. As he just needs to charge up that Orb of Deception. It's going to help him out. So Pulbe just continuing to clear things out. And as we can see, like, the vibe has shifted in this mid lane, right? Like, Pulbe, it feels like, has a lot more control. Now has the Vampiric Scepter there as well. It's perfect. Going to try and change things. As in comes Pyoshik. Does look for the ulti as he gets underneath the turret. I don't know about that one, as he will have to snap back at some point. There is the Impale charged up, and a very simple kill here for KT. They did throw the kitchen sink at him, but it did hit.
At least he was able to force BDD to flash. I think the flash much more valuable on the Ahri in general, just because it can help set up flash charms, help get out of a lot of sticky situations, but still not feeling great. Now the Goldie going up to 1,500 here as Pulbe is unfortunately caught a little bit out of bounds there. Perfect, making another good play here.
Yeah, on the roam. He really has been the most impressive player so far today. I think Skarner has also been piloted well by both of these top laners, but
absolutely,
Perfect has found these angles. I think it was spoken about yesterday as well, with players finding that you can go for these early roams pretty comfortably on the Skarner.
And if Paulo is level 6 here, the situation could be completely different. Unfortunately, he's not, and BDD, some fancy movement there, the flash traded to make sure the kill doesn't come through. And it's just so much setup here for KT, and unfortunately, without that ultimate, Paulo just not able to do anything in return. And all right, it should be fine.
Yeah, Unbound Soul was used in a different direction this time around as Weaver's Wall comes in. And KT are just taking this turret. They will be able to get yet another plate. So a little bit more of a defensive use of the wall. Headbutt Pulve is going to connect, and they look to punish the Talia. And now it's Pyoshik's turn to play a Pulve. He's going to get flung back into the rocks. BDD gets another one. And Bro, unfortunately, just kind of falling apart here in game number 3. Envy tries to flash. It does manage to get out, but Pyoshik, he'll get the stun. There's the charm. Cool guys don't look at explosions as BDD walks away and Pyoshik gets another one.
And they just have so much control over this bottom side. Deft gets the whole turret as well. Full plates before 14 minutes. And Dagon is, no, he's also not believing.
Don't worry, it ain't Prova. It's not Prova yet, man. Oh no, you can't be giving up. That's not what Bro Leaf's all about.
Yeah, I'm as the commentator on this castle. I will tell you guys, if you're believing, maybe hold on to your belief, I guess, because it's not looking great. I mean, this is just a play set up by Barrel, but it's also set up by the fact that they're so far up the lane. Deft is pushing minions in. The turret is basically donezo. The Paulo angle is weak because he's not ulting anybody into turret. He's not ulting anybody into any sort of follow-up. It's just a great map play here by KT. They have control of the bottom side. They have control of mid. They know Pulbe doesn't have flash. He doesn't have ult. There's nothing that can stop this play. They just walk at them and set up the CC. Pyoshik, incredible follow-up there. And then bam! 6 kills to 0. The most decisive game we've seen from KT probably this season.
Yeah, 100%. I think there is no doubt about that one. And you can see the eruption of gold advantage here for KT. Objective bounties are up at 15 minutes. That's very early. And so KT really with a big advantage. But that does mean, with objective bounties up, if KT do throw, then there's a lot of... Shelly?
You're really believing right now, Atlas.
I mean, I'm not. I'm just sort of throwing it out there. It's the last game of the day. This has been one heck of a series. And sometimes things like this can happen where Beryl is going to get flung back and eaten alive. Good headbutt though, still not going to quite be enough. As Young Jay taking a lot of damage, Heartbreaker comes in and it might be exactly that. Oh, the impale as Polo, I think he's going to be cut down where he stands. And there's a charm onto Envy as well, that insult to injury. There is one, like Bro's on the board, we on the board, but everyone else is sort of...
Deft is going to get a second turret, Atlas, as well as the assist there on killing Envy a second time. I feel like we're looking at the kill scores of the Viego, the Ari, right? Some of the roams from Perfect, but Deft has also silently just been bopping Envy in the bottom lane, and this isn't going very much better for Pulbay either.
Yeah, Pulbay's like, wow, this champion just does not take damage, and he would be correct.
Yeah, this is a really, really almost unrecoverable deficit at this point for Bro. Deft has so much more money than his 0-0-3 kill score, in fact, indicates.
Yeah, so true. Because they took every plate in that bottom lane.
Yeah, he's so big. I mean, Viego is massive as well as so is BDD, who has now cooldown reduction on his ultimate.
4-0-4 game 2 not found as well here for Pyoshik in this one.
Yeah, let's forget about that one.
Yeah, please, 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 please. For everyone's sakes, 5,000 gold is the lead, and it is very early for a lead like that. Is Beryl caught clearing a ward, or was he?
Yeah, I mean, Beryl is just so tanky, and like, you know, his ult is just going to buy a little bit of extra time here.
He was pretty late with the ult.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's chain CC'd, it's fine. It could have probably pre-ulted there if he really knew it was coming, but
unless it was just coming back up.
It buys him enough time though, or he buys enough time for the follow-up to come through, and they're just so ahead. And then Envy here, you can't be here, unfortunately. You don't have any topside. Nobody's alive. And now, I mean, KT are really just rolling the ball down the hill.
Yep. And it is Baron. Oh, he uses an taxi in for the engage. He'll be taken down, but it is a trade. 1-for-1 so far. Pulbay trying to be the hero here, but he just walks straight into that Mystic shot. And now Pyoshik, I mean, this is how, I guess, they're going to play Talia. They just plan to kill her every team fight, and then Pyoshik can do it instead. And they pile on top of the Cassante. Deft is able to stay alive, and it's a triple kill. Oh, Pyoshik.
It looks like KT is going to keep the record at 0-5 in 2020. They're not going to repeat this one. They are not repeating history this season. 7-0-6 on this Viego with the insane resets. And I mean, if it was a different composition, we might be talking about maybe they're going to break the record for fastest game of the season as Barrel's created a unique playstyle strikes again. Because Deft knows too, he's calling out to him, true shot, I'm going to get the knockups, comes out of the Herald, sets up for the knockup, and then bam, so much damage done. Now they are under turret, so a lot of damage is traded back, but Pyoshik is getting reset after reset after reset, and Morgan is just watching on like, I'm very tanky. Deft gets the barrier here to help survive, and just barely that extra heartbreak there from Pyoshik, the transformation will be enough to keep Deft alive. So he also is deathless on the game. I mean, 14 Morgan, kills to 3.
He tried super hard at the end there, as we do have a little bit of a knock-up on the Perfect. He ignores it entirely. But Morgan was a pinball in that last fight. He was trying so hard, you know, goes all out, almost manages to get Deft. And look at Deft. You mentioned the gold advantage. 2.8K? It is absolutely ridiculous.
With 1 kill. I mean, the assists have been helpful, but it's mostly just the plates and the turret he picked up earlier.
And I've noticed as well that he's gone back to Frosted Ezreal. This was his original Ezreal skin. When Pulsefire came out, he tried it even when the Q was a bit weird. They did fix that up. He does like to play that one, but this was the OG. So it's cool to see him back to the original picker. Him and Double Lift having that one in common. And I just wanted to non-sequitur into talking about skins for some reason, because I just want to cruise towards this just being a clean KT 9,000 gold at 19 minutes victory without any funny business. That's what would be the ideal scenario for everyone involved, I think.
I just don't think there's any way that KT lose this game.
Oh, God.
I mean,
you're doing everything you can to make sure that there is a chance that they pull it back, right? Well, that's what we're doing.
Look at Young Jay's items. Oh, he has a torch and his arm guard. Okay.
Yep. And now Morgan has a dream. His dream is to survive. And it is, you know, going to survive for a little while, but Deft will get his second kill.
Now look at the items of Pyoshik.
He built a Trinity Force. Man!
I mean, when you're winning this hard, who can blame him? Pulbe's at least going to get some bounty gold back for his team, but Deft is looking for a third turret in this game, and he's going to get it. 700 more gold back in his pockets. They get the dragon.
So he has like a 4,000 gold lead now, I guess.
Now, who can kill Skarner? Like, trivia question for everyone at home. With the Skarner's at 202, he has Mountain Drake now. He's going to have Mountain Soul very
Nexus
likely.
turrets.
I'm not sure about that. That wasn't really a part of the quiz. The correct answer I was looking for was no one. But
oh, right. Okay. Sorry.
which champion on the side of OK Savings Bank Breon can hurt the Skarner? The answer is none.
All of them together with a lot of time. As Beryl is going to face check and then flash in. He'll find the pulverize. There's perfect. Looks for it. Gets it. And oh my goodness, where did Young Jay go? He just disappeared. The ult out from Pulbe. KT will have to take a consolation polo, although he takes a blast cone out. Deft says no to that. He'll put up the barrier. Envy trying to stay alive here as Pyoshik dashes on in. He's legendary now. And 21 minutes on the clock. I think it might be Baron time.
I mean, with this barrier and the frozen heart for Deft and how ahead they are, he's actually a tank. He's like, yeah, I'm going to just E into 3 people. Yeah, no one can kill me. No one can hurt me. I barrier all the damage, and I'm just a fountain laser at this point because you guys don't have any stats.
Yeah, he just
you
needs
guys
a
are so far
bloodthirster.
behind.
He needs a bloodthirster now, so he basically takes no damage for any of the shots and just heals it all back up again.
Bruiser Ezreal incoming.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Well, we remember the days, don't we? You know, the times of the Frozen Fist Ezreal, the blue Ezreal build.
I miss it.
I don't at all. It was
in live.
Yes. In live, Young Jay is missing. We have the poster up. Where is he?
And it's unfortunate because Young Jay got POG almost unanimously. You know, 2 question marks on that one in game 2. And played a fantastic
Don't
game
say
at
things
Talia.
about my mate, Right Media, okay?
And and one thing I will say is we did kind of get robbed of the real game 3, I feel, because those plays bottom side were so on a knife's edge. Like if Young Jay actually helps set that up, and then we actually see Pulbe stay. For example, that early play, and then he ends up turning that around. This could be a completely different game. This could be a completely different reality we're living in. But they kind of doubled and then tripled down on some of those early game plays. And KT got ahead, and they are just not going to let it go. These are professional players who have a ton of experience, world champions, and that's what you get, man. You flip it, you lose sometimes. You lose half the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's Edge of Night as well on this Viego. He does so much damage, and he's able to ignore the initial CC at the same time. They'll break open the base. KT still with almost 2 minutes of Baron left remaining at the same time. Goodness me, okay. Pyoshik dashes forward. Polu with the Nature's Grasp. They do manage to find themselves a shove, but it's onto Perfect. He's near immortal. Oh, just the very edge of the charm going to connect onto Morgan, who's desperately trying to survive this. He's under an inhibitor turret, but still has to flash. As Polu taking so much. True Shot Barrage not going to hit. The rest of Bro, they're already just corralling towards their fountain. As KT, they run this side of the map as well.
They certainly do. Looks like they won't be able to end here at sub 24. They could just back away. 2 minutes until that very, very scary Mountain Soul prospect for this Skarner, who's already so tanky. Fimbulvinter done, has Sunfire. He's just going to be impossible to kill. As people are dying alive again.
Yeah, Pulbe is real dead. We saw the start of an attempted ultimate, and then Beryl poofed him.
This is just a statement game from KT at this
It is, and I don't know what the statement is, Wolf. After what we saw in games 1 and 2, what does the statement say? Like, we were doing the other ones for fun? Like, because this is, like, KT saying we are way better. And right now I believe them, but I saw games 1 and 2, so I don't know what it means. As they are diving these turrets, Pyoshik is so incredibly massive, it is absurd. He's going to be able to take down Envy there, grabs himself the double, and KT, they want to go home. They want to end this madness. They want to tell Hirai that this is how they want to play from now on. Don't worry, dude, we've got this. And we'll see whether he believes them. We'll see whether that's what they can bring to the Telecom War coming up on Saturday for our Saturday Showdown. Because after a game like this, maybe there's hope. Maybe there's a chance. Maybe we understand that they've got it in them. But they'll have to show us.
Game number 3 goes the way of KT, and the loss streak is over. An extremely dominant one-sided game off of a few early game plays that went the way of KT. Very close fights, you know, some plays from Barrel, Def layering that damage through. A few of those Qs missed. Like I said, if Full Bay comes down, doesn't go back to lane, when they stayed in the tri-brush bottom lane, maybe they actually fight that out. He gets a big ultimate. You know, could be looking at a completely different scenario, but then from behind, we saw continual attempts from the side of OK Savings Bank Breon fall up short, and then KT with the lead, with Piochik on Viego, they just ran away with it. And maybe it's just that the early games for KT have been going so poor the early part of the season with some of the bad, you know, weak laning we saw from BDD. Frankly, he was, again, in some metrics, 10th in the LCK in lane. Some of the mishaps we had with Barrel in the lane, maybe that's why they weren't able to find their footing. But from ahead, we can see it. You can feel it. And I want to contextualize that because KT did get a massive lead early. And with a comp like this, they pushed it out. Because Game 2, they had a decent lead, but I don't think it was anywhere near what we saw in Game 3.
And you can see it. It's on the faces of all of the KT players. It's even on the faces of the KT fans. This isn't good enough, right? This is a KT that are like, yes, this game right here, this is what should have happened the whole series. This is how it's supposed to go against Breon. And we've got a lot that we need to work on. It's good to see that KT are capable of it. It's good to see that these players can get on those terms. And my goodness, I think Piochik has been waiting to have a game like this where he can really pop off, because we know how momentum-based this player is. Finally able to pick this one up. I don't know how long that momentum's going to last given their future prospects. KT, I mean, at least able to get through Bro here. Took them 3 games, but they got there in the end, and it's the results that's the most important thing. All starting with this play here.
Yeah, this is where things really start to open up in the early game. Youngjae getting picked. Skip some of the action that happens around bottom lane. This really aggressive attempt here by Full Bay. Although it doesn't have level 6, unfortunately, Barrel does. And it just goes from bad to worse here as Deft, again, he gets those leads, those small leads, and then he just pushes Envy out of the lane. He's like, you are not even allowed to farm. You're a Kaisa into Ezreal, but I'm just outranging you. I'm constantly poking you down. And then it sets up dives for BDD on this Ahri. Once he's unlocked on a pick like this, it's just so easy for him in KT.
This was so sick from Barrel. I don't know whether it was like a better way to do it, but it looked really cool.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if it works, it works. And in this case, at this lead, it did. That wasn't the cleanest, but it worked. And
he like popped out a Shelly and just dropped his wallet on him.
The last fan sign that we saw right before we went into these highlights was a fan sign that says, if Barrel is sick, then I'm not feeling well either. And Barrel, he came into today's series, you know, after getting some treatment, and he wasn't even able to do like a normal walkout. But at the end of the day, he played very well in this last game. You know, it wasn't his greatest series, but we have to consider he's injured.
I was actually a little bit worried because it did look like game number 2 was a bit of a lower point for Barrel. And his Alistair is something that we know he knows how to pilot exceptionally well, right? Like, there's a lot of muscle memory there, but he must be pretty uncomfortable right now. I mean, surgery on the abdomen does not sound like a whole lot of fun. So, really keeping it together. So, hats off to Barrel there for that one. As we watch him underneath the enemy turret and listen to KT as they put the last few nails in the coffin. Yeah, Barrel just said, yeah, he's like, that hurts. It hurts.
He's saying he's in pain, unfortunately. The thing is, like, Barrel is such a... Even though I know a lot of you guys watch Barrel's play and you're like, oh, mechanically it makes a lot of mistakes. His decision-making can be quite off at times. And you look at Wei and Challengers, who, yes, KT's Challengers team had a bit of a... Not the greatest week this week, but... You look at what Barrel does with this roster, his experience with this team already, his synergy with Def, with Piochik, his shot calling. You take him out of the roster and put Wei in. I don't know if they win this series. So if Barrel says, look, I'm sick, I'm in pain, I want to play, Eri says, okay, I'll put you in, we're going to play. And, you know, he's in pain as they finish the game, but they get the first win, and not going to be the 0-5 season.
Yep, and hopefully, you know, with a day's break, is going to be able to rest up and feel a lot better for the match on Saturday, which is getting a little bit more intriguing now. We'll see whether it is going to be a good one. But now it is time for us to throw it over to the space to break down the first KT win of the season. What a weird thing to say.
오늘의 두 번째 매치 KT와 OK저축은행
Thank you very much. This is Dear for the POG interview translation, joined by Perfect and Pyoshik on the side of KT Rolster, who just took their first victory of summer over OK Savings Bank Breon. Congratulations! Pyoshik, you finally put an end to your win streak and get to celebrate your first victory. How do you feel? I really thought we would win it all, but it wasn't as easy as I thought. I'm just happy that we were able to end our losing streak. And Perfect, every victory meant that you're getting the POG. How do you feel? I don't think I performed as well as I practiced. I think that's the first thought that I have. And I feel like the only thing on my mind is to play better next time. Yeah, it must have not been easy with the persisting health issues. How did you guys maintain a good team spirit? Perfect. As for the team atmosphere, I feel like the older teammates are really trying to keep uplifting each other. I think I'm just really going with the flow that they set up. And how's Sparrow feeling? Sparrow wasn't doing very well, but he's progressively getting better. I just don't know how long it's going to take for him to recover. Hopefully he recovers soon. Your head coach actually said that there are multiple complex issues in the team. So what process did it take to cover these areas? Aside from the in-game problems, there are a lot of external issues as well. And I feel like in the process, I feel like everyone put in their efforts to create this good outcome today. And Perfect, in Game 1, you really served with your Skarner gameplay. And we saw that Mordekaiser counter pick, and it may have given you some trouble. So what are your thoughts on the matchup? I feel like because the early game went so well, I feel like I didn't have that many issues during the laning phase. Everything went smoothly. So at what point does Skarner win against Mord? I feel like it's really hard to win a 1v1, I would say. And Perfect, in Game 1, after Vi got picked, OK Savings Bank took the Baron. Let's take a look at the replay over here. You guys decided to engage and win the team fight, so what was your read of the game here? Because I was so tanky, I went in with an E and I tried to waste their abilities. And I feel like there might have been an opening for me to actually engage a lot quicker, which has a lot to which I'm a little regretful about. And in Game 2, the enemy swapped their mid laner from Karas to Polbey. Did you guys have any info on Polbey? I think the coach or BDD actually told us that he would play mage, and thankfully he didn't pick a mage champion. So what was the team's game plan? I think we just had the mindset that as long as we catch them off guard, that we would win through team fights. Pyoshik, in Game 3, you locked in Viego and showcased some great plays. And even if AP jungle is in meta, do you still believe AD jungle is viable? I feel like if I were to rank them, I definitely do believe that AP is above AD, but because we are so good at playing AD champions, I think that's why we went with that pick. And in Game 3, around 17 minutes, you guys pulled a brutal engage. Let's take a look at this highlight. As soon as you got off the Herald, an immediate engage. Was this all calculated by Daryl, Pyoshik? The Herald had 1100 HP, and I told everyone that, oh, maybe if we dive, just be bold. I think we'll be able to kill them all.
네, 좋습니다. 이렇게 해서 첫 승신고에 성공한 KT 롤스터입니다. 다음 경기는 T1.
And now that you have secured your first win, your next match will be a Saturday showdown against T1. Would you like to share a word of resolution with your fans? I feel like there are a lot left to be desired, but I want to make sure that we are able to cover these mistakes and come back stronger.
저희도
And
하루
표식.
연습하고 이제 T1전 고향 가서 하는데
I believe we
열심히
will
잘
be able to
준비해서
get one
좋은
day of
모습
practice
보여드리도록
and then we'll
하겠습니다.
face T1.
네,
But
좋은 모습
I hope
같이
that we put in our
기대하도록
best
하겠습니다.
and
지금까지 퍼펙트 선수, 표식 선수
and are
만나봤습니다.
ready
다시
for our
한번
next match against
축하드립니다.
T1.
감사합니다.
And that's the end of the interview from Perfect and Pyoshik of KT Roaster. And back to the space. Thank you.